in-game pause for the players there.
Okay, no technical difficulties so far. We're doing great, and I guess we will be going into Feudal Age here shortly. Men-at-Arms should be coming out pretty soon. Hera not sending them out one by one is going to be waiting to mass them up a little bit, but you see Villese is already walling quite a bit, so we'll have to see if Hera can get some damage done.
Exactly, and Hera about to bring those men-at-arms out, like you were saying, and he just needs to find somewhere to do any kind of damage at the moment. The good news is the walls aren't entirely up for Villese at this point in time, so he can kind of look for that, do that little pod, proc, try and find any damage he really can amongst the villages, amongst any of the kind of units that are there at this point to really just try and make those men-at-arms worth it, or at least delay his opponent long enough that he can move into the next set.
Yeah, we have the quick hands here from Mr. Villese, able to quick wall in that villager, so he does not die to the scout. Potentially, if Hera was upping on 21, that villager would be in jeopardy. That wasn't the case. In fact, Villese had the faster uptime. So now there's going to be a little bit of a scout tussle. Looks like Hera had the scout HP advantage, but he doesn't want to take the fight too much since there is the villager here of our red player on standby, and then you would lose the fight that way. But on the other side, we have the militia not actually being upgraded men-at-arms. Okay, there we are. They're coming in, but they will find themselves on the other side of a palisade wall.
That's just bad timing at the moment for Hera. He was so close to keeping that one open. Did do a little bit more scouting, and he's just noticed the wall there, and with the stable coming up in the front here, basically completely blocked out at this stage. So it does make it a little bit harder to kind of do that. I guess at this point it's just about trying to delay the scouts with the militia as much as possible.
Interestingly, we saw Hera just cancel the men-at-arm upgrade, realizing that, okay, my opponent's fully walled, I'm not likely to get any villager kills, so just save the resources there on the men-at-arm upgrade, be able to make my transition a bit faster. Not entirely sure what that is yet, because we're just placing a bunch of farms already with around 8 seeded so far, even more than his opponent who's going for scouts, which is obviously the most food-intensive opening. So maybe Hera's going to be trying to follow this up with a faster Castle Age, because if he was going to make some sort of quick archer transition, he would have done it already.
Yeah, he could have just dropped the double range, or at least a single, transition into the double, start that production, start moving out, because he did have those gold villages quite early. But I think you're right, he's just going to wall up, play it safe, go for that Castle Age, and move out from there, essentially. So it's up to, really, Villese at this point to see if he can kind of get any damage with these scouts, because the walls aren't entirely up yet, but looks like we've seen a little bit of construct on all of those now.
Yep, he actually just finished the wall, deleted the wall so a scout could escape, and then rebuilt the wall. But I think Villese himself might be going for that faster Castle Age as well. Okay, no, he is making another scout, but this is only, what, his 3rd additional scouter?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not that many, and if you are just going for a few scouts, maybe to snipe the occasional villager, say if Hera wasn't completely walled. But of course we can see here that our blue player is totally walled, totally safe, and again with no feudal age buildings whatsoever.
So Villese now just needs to try and make these scouts worth it. Worst case scenario here, he will be able to take map control, so he will feel a little bit kind of less on the back foot when anything moves out. Can keep an eye on what he's seeing from Hera in case any of the walls get deleted down, military buildings come in. But I have a good feeling once he does a quick scout around the base and he notices there's no archery, there's no stable, anything like that, he's going to be pretty kind of confident in terms of what his playstyle has been here.
Oh yeah, both players playing extremely safe here in game number 1, just kind of getting a little bit of a feel for each other. You do see the archery range now complete for our red player, Villese, making a skirmisher. So he's not going to be going completely, fast castle behind this, and I do think this is a little bit of a mistake. I think you realize that Hera is walled, you realize that you haven't seen anything from him whatsoever, so probably just play a little bit on the greedy side, and you can see Hera's resources already pretty close to Castle Age, Villese a little ways behind that.
Hera's just starting to look like he's got himself into a really good spot. He's read the matchup really, really well. He cancelled the men-at-arms earlier when he realized he wasn't going to kind of get too much from it, and actually has the defensive spear out as well, so he's actually deflecting a scout back home as well. But archer range is getting thrown up for him now. However, any units being produced? Nope. He knows he's safe. Yep,
he does know he's safe. If Villese was to come forward with anything, it would just be a few scouts, and then at most, like these few skirmishers, but that isn't really the scariest army composition in the whole world. And I think these archery ranges are most likely going to be for cavalry archer production once we see Hera get to the mid-game, and the fact that, yeah, he's garrisoning villagers, just about to hit that 800 food mark, just about to, there we go. Now he's up on his way to Castle Age.
There's the garrison.
So, yeah. think Cav Archer transition pretty likely. If he's not making anything now and he's throwing down another archery range, it's Hera, it's Huns, it's Cav Archer time.
That's it. He's looking to really kind of push his advantage here. Good news is as well, Villese has actually taken a good percentage of the map as his own, so he can try and keep his walls up. That said though, Cavalry Archers, once you've got the numbers, you can push through pretty quickly, and it's just about darting in, trying to do the damage where you can, then getting out of there. And it looks like we are about to see a small push from Villese as well, so we'll see if we can get anything done here, but all it takes is a couple of walls. Skirmishes aren't really going to do too much.
Yeah, I think Villese is actually playing a little overly safe right now. He's getting fletching, which, I mean, it's a cheap upgrade. It doesn't sound like much, but it does delay your castle age time by just that much more. You know, Villese could be at like 400 food right now, and every second that Hera, you know, can get to the castle age, it's just more and more time that he'll be able to get to Cav Archers and just abuse the power of Huns in that way.
Small raid coming in now from Villese, trying to find where he can. Skirmishes, of course, without any Bodkin arrow, without the elite upgrade, really not going to do too much against villagers, so he can just kind of hang out and just continue to wall it up like this. As soon as the villager takes like half damage, essentially, they can just swap over, keep building the house, and it'll keep him out for just about ever.
Yep, skirmishers only deal 1 damage to villagers in the feudal age, even with fletching. Villagers just unbothered by the huge javelins being thrown at them. And you can just see how unbothered Hera is. He's just like, okay, a couple palisades behind this, don't worry too much. I guess he made an archer. But as far as like reactions goes, this is like Hera trying to work with the bare minimum so he can get the Cav Archers rolling as soon as possible.
And look at that, we've just had Villese click up to Castle Age now. A solid basically 96% difference in terms there. So we'll see Hera up nice and quickly, be able to push that tech advantage that he's always looking for, and really kind of use it to his advantage.
Yeah, let's see what the early Castle Age follow-up is here for Hera. Notably,
Town Center.
Only the 2 ranges, so this is super greedy here from our Canadian player. Just the 2-range Cav Archer production, additional TC coming in as well. Looking at his resources, it might even be trying for a 3rd TC. Go full OrnLu style, just boom with no units and just hope you don't die.
Well, according to Lierey's flowchart from the other day,
yes.
Get yourself ahead by the smallest micromanagement, like anything you can, and then follow up with more TCs.
Oh yeah, that's how you play Age of Empires, according to Liereyy. And this is, I think, maybe a little too ambitious here from Hera. +1 defense is coming here for Villese, and the Cav Archers in this low of number are going to die pretty hard to skirmishers. Yes, he does have Bodkin Arrow, and he can use the powers of Micro to, you know, poke away at these skirmishers, but it's not like Villese is going to be in feudal age forever. He can totally, you know, get to elite skirmishers and then potentially just mow down these Cav Archers if there's no defensive mangonel or knights or anything. Yeah,
this is one of the big problems you end up with cavalry archers in. On the attack, they are fantastic because you're dictating the battle. You can disappear and reappear somewhere else, do some damage, poke, prod, but when they're kind of forced to actually fight against the skirmishers back home, because you can't really maneuver or dictate it how you want, that's where the skirmishers can just mass up, push in, and then you're forced to engage it.
Oh, a little bit of mismicro there. I think the skirmishers, they just do so few damage to the villagers. Just focus on the Cav Archers. But you can see Villese doing a nice job picking off 2 Cav Archers. That's pretty big at this stage. Castle Age now just coming in E-Skirm and Bodkin and 2 Camels. This is what I was thinking the army comp for Villese would be, and that sounded like a pretty good Cav Archer killer.
Yeah, this is a really smart transition. Villese also managing to keep Hera back at base during his way up to Castle Age, so he hasn't had to worry too much about that raiding from the Cavalry Archers, so really smart follow-up.
Yeah, certainly. Elite Skirmisher does take seemingly forever to research at times, but he'll get there eventually, Hera, just with some cute micro, making sure that he doesn't take any unnecessary damage, but you can see he only has the +2/+1, no bloodlines, or obviously no like ballistics or thumb ring or anything like that. Interestingly, he went with the monastery approach and is now building a stable, and yeah, a monk is going to be nice against the camels, but not as good as versus knights, and 2 Cav Archers getting picked off by that camel rider now.
Yes, the camel rider, can't forget that one. But look at this, all that advantage that Hera was really pushing for there, the cavalry archers trying to get some of the extra text behind it, all of that has been neutralized. He's got the 1 town center to fall back on, but yeah, the monastery, interesting choice.
Yeah, again, it just feels a little too greedy for my taste. I mean, if you're going for Cav Archers, I feel like you need to have at least 3 ranges because you just don't have the numbers in early Castle Age. Now he's going for actually not a whole lot right now, just a knight. But the knight, yeah, it's going to be good versus the skirmishers, but the camels are faster and, you know, they can position themselves to be near the skirmishers fairly easily. And we even have a quick husbandry and +2 defense coming in here for a red player.
Villese as well, trying to push this one home as much as possible. He's got his secondary town center up, and he's even looking for a 3rd one just outside his base on the gold there now as well. He really knows that he's got map control here. He's holding Hera in the base, so he's going to abuse that to really kind of take as much as he can.
Yep. Villese keeping his opponent on his side of the map. Oh no, is the Mike going to convert a skirmisher? Oh, so close. Would have been a whole skirmisher. Is that actually open? I think it... No, I think you have to go all the way around here.
Yes.
So there is a knight in the stable. We'll be ready to pop out given the chance, but a market actually being rushed up here for Hera. I'm not quite sure what this is for. He does have the siege workshop, but he's only making some villagers right now.
I guess he could... he's probably, in all honesty, he's lost his front gold there in terms of where the entire army of Villese is sitting, so it looks like he's going to have to trade off some wood, get some gold, keep queuing units up and be able to deal with this one. Has got a couple of knights, or at least a knight, out in play at the moment inside the stable there. Potentially can drop that on top of the skirmishes, but like you've been saying, this is backed up by a full set of cavalry now. Yeah,
+2 defense, bloodlines, and husbandry here for Villese. And Hera was going for the very, very cheeky TC at the front, trying to reclaim some of that gold control that you were talking about. And that's DE for you. The game just ends, and that was very much GG for Hera. Like, he was losing so many villagers here. His opponent had full map control. Yeah, you could see Hera was at, like, nominally very far ahead in villagers right now, but you know, Villese has the 3 TCs behind this. He is totally comfortable. He has the army control, and if we go ahead and look at these achievements or statistics.
The statistics. You got to see the stats.
The statisticry. 20 kills to 6 deaths for Villese. That's
just such good trading.
That's such good trading. Hera, I think, was just a little too greedy in what he tried to accomplish, stretching his defenses a bit too thin against just a fairly straightforward play from Villese. It's just everything was solid.
That's it. Hera just tried to do everything. Instead of fully committing into cavalry archers, like you said, he sat on the 2 range rather than going up to 3 and sat on that extra town center. He just kind of couldn't find which way to work. Villese was in a great position, just hold him back at base, literally had the skirmishes, and like I was saying with cavalry archers, unless you can kind of use that, essentially the mobility to really work to your advantage, you just get stuck and then you just get cut down, which is basically what happened there.
Yeah, and that's always going to be the problem when you're investing the extra resources into getting a mounted unit. You need to be justifying that by using its mobility. The same goes for knights, cav archers, what have you. And if you're playing defensively, you don't have to walk anywhere, right?
Yeah, that's it.
You can't really use the mobility that well.
So game number 1 taken by Villese in a really strong play. Every read was fantastic. He played it pretty much perfectly. The moment he knew he was ahead and he was safe, that's when we got into the extra town centers, the extra eco up behind that one. So he's put himself in a really good place. And we will be moving into game number 2.
And we will be on Valley. So we load into the game. Here we are. And we will be on Valley, as we said. And over here to the east of the map, down 1 game, is the higher seed still, though, and looking to bring it back with the Aztecs is going to be Hera.
Then over towards the west of the map, in the red, we do have Villese as the Chinese.
Chinese, a very popular civ so far this tournament. Just starting with those extra villagers, people just feel so comfortable now with those, with the weirder start that Chinese have, not having any food. People think, okay, we can get our sheep quickly and just be 1.5 villagers or so ahead, you know, from the entire early game. You can also see Villese here luring in that zebra nice and early. Definitely something that his Finnish brother, TheMax, also tends to do. And yeah, you can tell these guys practice with each other.
Alright, so just checking out the maps in terms of what we've got here as well. I'd say the only big thing looking at Villese's base, he does have a forward gold there, relatively open in terms of the way it actually sits. Both bases going to be a little bit annoying to wall this time around, and I guess on something like Valley as well, will be very, very interesting to see if either player does decide to push out towards the middle. We do have that dried up river running through, a couple of shorefish, but a lot of wild hunt there. So, of course, risk reward, but whether each other decides to go for something like this on a map in such a high-level matchup, that's the question.
Yeah, like that's been the interesting thing with Valley that we've seen so far in this tournament. I think we've seen it a couple times, and in neither case did either player try and go for the hunt in the middle. They're just like, okay, let's just pretend this is another Arabia clone and just go for it that way. And that, well, at least so far that's the case. Oh, rip that zebra. Zebra, you are not listening to your commands. Feels bad, man. Also, it's an acacia map, so there's going to be a hole in the wall somewhere. I guarantee it.
There is always
there's always a hole, and that truth is only doubled on acacia maps.
So we've got Villese pushing in those Zebra like we were looking at earlier here, so can get himself a nice little advantage there. Hera still working away on those sheep, is pulling in his first elephant, however, as well. For those at home, elephant 400 food compared to the normal 340 food of a boar.
And they also attack faster or something because they kill my villagers a lot, and then I feel sad. Even more than normal. Regardless, though, Aztecs versus Chinese, I mean, when I think of these two civs, I just think of, okay, these are two safe civs on any Arabia-like map that have very few bad matchups. And I think versus each other, Chinese are going to be pretty strong in the late game, but Aztecs are just so fast early on.
So just having a look overall as well, we did have Hera a little bit of idle time there under the town center as well, with just one villager. Managed to get onto it relatively quickly, but we've seen exactly what's happened in these games. Everything gets punished, everything adds up, and it's one big snowball effect that gets us to the end. So seeing the fact that we've got Villese, he's moving in with his Zebra, he's getting that advantage. We've seen a couple of idols already from Hera. It all starts to add up.
Yeah, especially with Aztecs, it can be a little bit tricky with the extra carry capacity. You have to force drop with your villagers just a little bit more than with other civs. Can get some resulting idle time, but still Aztec eco super, super strong. And we'll be very likely seeing some sort of men-at-arm infantry opening. And it's going to be harder to wall than last game for sure.
And for those wondering as well, while we've got the point of views up here, Villese is indeed playing with the cube mod, basically just transitioning every object in the game, resource-wise, into a colored cube of a matching, I guess, relatively matching color. So it makes things easier to see, but something very, very popular along Team Finland.
Yeah, and it's always pretty funny looking. Actually, come to think of it, the cube mod is really nice for these Acacia maps because the holes are most likely going to be so much easier to spot. That's actually something I hadn't considered, but obviously it is something the Finns are somewhat known for. And yeah, just nothing too crazy so far. Both players putting, I think, 4 on wood. Indeed, that is the case.
Hera's lost his Rhino pull. So he was luring in the Rhino there as well. Did actually lose the pull on that, and has actually needed to pull it back again for a second time.
Rip that lady.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, that's not great. Hopefully Hera isn't like getting tilted by this or anything. But he is down 2 villagers right now. Obviously against Chinese, you're going to be in an even worse spot economically. And Villese just walling here, the villager in the barracks. Don't want to get randomly eagle scouted to the face. And I think it is pretty likely we'll just be seeing some scouts from our Chinese player, as that's typically what they tend to do.
Yeah, on a map like this where it's so open as well, basically being an Arabia clone, you were saying with the acacia trees as well, it means there will be a hole pretty much no matter what. So it's just basically about trying to make sure you get the best results with those scouts, come in, get some idle time, get what they're worth, and then basically move on from there.
Yeah, and it's, you know, there's a better chance than normal that there is a hole somewhere, and especially against Aztecs who will not have any cavalry unless they're converted, but still, they won't have the mobility that you do. And we'll have to, I think, oh no, actually you can see the early mining camp here from Villese. Both players with identical feudal age times, but just one player that is Villese with 3 more villagers. Normally it's like around 2 is Chinese, but this is just even further exacerbated.
Yep.
And actually will be a men-at-arm opening. This is something that's pretty tricky for Chinese to pull off normally, but if you lure a couple deer/zebra, you can totally make it happen.
No, this is a really, really smart play. Both players will be meeting with their militia overall. We did see a huge advantage considering how early on we are in terms of eco towards Villese as well. So if this drush goes well, he's going to put himself in a commanding position, basically to dictate the rest of the map.
Yeah, certainly. There was a little bit of a housed scenario for Villese, so that isn't super ideal. His second militia is only just now coming out, but as far as feudal age timings go, he should be just fine. Meanwhile, 3 militia of, make that actually soon to be 5 militia.
Commitment.
What year is this? 5 militia from Aztecs? But yeah, that will be the case here for Hera. He really wants to get up in his opponent's grill pretty quickly. We'll have to see if he's going to follow it up with villagers, whether that be to tower or to go to the middle. But right now, it's just a lot of infantry.
Alright, so that's the question there that OrnLu's really asked behind this one that will kind of dictate the rest of the play as well. If these militia can move in, survive, and just keep Villese in his base, it does mean the middle of this map is actually opened up for all that hunt, which we were talking about earlier. If he can kind of transition into taking that and getting himself that food advantage, that's where he's really going to start to be able to pull himself back into the game here. But the problem we're running into is the fact that Hera is behind at this stage. He needs to make something happen now, or it's just going to snowball effect for the rest of the match.
Yep, archery range coming in here right away from our Finnish player, and that, makes lots and lots of sense, but he's actually going for the fight right here. He has one less swordsman than his opponent, but bringing the villager in to help out a little bit, whose micro will reign supreme. It actually looks like Villese is doing a nice job here. That was a surprisingly bad fight for Hera.
Yeah, considering we've got 3 militia still alive from Villese, all of them, well, 2 of them quite low HP, but they've survived the fight and they're able to push back across the map now.
Yeah, I guess there was the 5th swordsman. I'm pretty sure that was made for Villese, but even so, in a situation where each player have 5 swordsmen and their scout, even just bringing that villager over, and I guess just having slightly better micro was Villese. It's now 4 villagers ahead. Well, I guess just over 3 villagers ahead.
We do have the double archery range coming down from Hera now as well, so he knows the transition he wants to make. He's just going to be very careful that gold doesn't get too starved in the back there. A couple of militia can push it out very easy, or a man-at-arms at this stage, and might even see that archery range get denied, and no quick wall around the villager either, just denied.
That is completely denied for right now. Aztecs, of course, with the slightly faster working ranges, will be able to get some archers out pretty quickly, and Hera does have one very nearly complete, but you can see that Villese already has his archery range up. He's already got an archer. Well, I was going to say he's moving it out, but I guess he's just chilling by the gold mine. And, the fact that Hera's trying to go for these 2 ranges, trying to get aggressive, it's really not happening right now due to that denial.
Not the situation you want to be in, and like I said before, the ball's basically in Hera's court here. He needs to find something to push this one back, and without that, that's just that snowball effect that I've been talking about pretty much the entire matchup.
Yeah, it's definitely something you have to be looking out for. And again, what zebra in the middle? What hunt? They're literally playing this like it's Arabia. It's just interesting because people would always just go for the hunt every single time. I guess that's just because we have Mongols banned on this map. And without that, I guess, extra incentive, it's just not worth it, players feel, to try and go for the middle. But here we do have some skirmishers being mixed in by Villese, and actually for Hera as well.
Villese doing a really good job of walling up entirely back at home as well. Nearly got pretty much everything covered, something that Hera is still yet to get onto. Just starting to construct his walls at home now, so we'll be in a little bit more of a safer situation. Behind this, he looks like he's trying to move out. He's got a couple of skirmishes to play this one a little bit more defensively, but looking over to Villese, we've got that production, we've got fletching underway as well, so it looks like he's going to be in a relatively good spot compared to Hera.
Yeah, unless I missed Hera's fletching. Nope, Hera has...
Yep, just only got the blacksmith up then.
Probably, well, I say that, the army's moving out right now, but fletching is only 30 seconds, I think, to research, so it's a pretty quick upgrade. I think, yeah, Hera will definitely have it. By the time this fight goes underway, he has 1 more military than his opponent, and 2 of Villese's military is in the form of these men-at-arms, which are 1 step above useless at this point in the game.
As soon as the ranged units come out, the man-at-arms, you're just there to tank fire.
Exactly, and they won't be tanking very much once fletching's out, and obviously both players now having access to that. But interestingly, Villese is only on the 1 range still. And if he isn't careful, he might get just outmassed by Hera. I mean, this is in turn a fairly greedy play just to not have any sort of range as a follow-up. But he's not even that close to Castle Age. I guess now just getting +1 defense?
That's what I was just looking at there. I was wondering if he sacrificed it to try and get himself the tech advantage, but he's still quite far, like very far away from it overall. So Hera, this could be a moment to kind of push back into the game here, keep committing into the military count, stop these walls going up if you can, and then really just push in, push off some resources, and just take back some map control.
Yep, 1 unit down for Villese so far, 0 for Hera, make that 1. And it's just that classic micro battle back and forth. Both players trading fairly evenly so far, but Hera does have the military numbers advantage. Villese trying to wall this up behind, but that villager is going to have to run away for the time being. And no, archery range could not be denied. That would have been absolutely massive. But indeed, Villese, with the faster reinforcements, I think should be able to deflect this.
Both players, like you've said, have moved it on to even ranges now, so Villese will be able to keep up with the production of his opponent Hera, but the more important factor being here as well, the fact Villese is also the defending player, so he's going to be able to reinforce these numbers much quicker than Hera will be able to march them out across the map.
Exactly. I mean, these guys aren't too far away from each other, but still, all that extra time it does matter with the fairly slow ranged units. And yeah, now we have Villese completely walled and feeling pretty safe. Not too many resources in the bank, but now 19 farmers. That won't be too far away for Castle Age. Actually, we see Hera a little bit closer even with the power of those Aztec farmers, which are super, super strong. Bank up a lot of food very quickly.
Hera pushing out with the rest of his archers across the map as well, just looking for anywhere he can do some damage and try and even this one up. Overall, still only 2 villages behind, so he has started to slowly kind of pick it up, I guess, in terms
no, because
of his pace.
Villese has wheelbarrow.
He does too. There you go. Villese.
Sorry to rain on your parade right there.
I was really hoping, but no. Good one from Villese. He managed to get wheelbarrow win, so definitely starting to prep for castle. Only a couple of 100 food off at this point as well.
Yeah, Hera himself is at 500, around 200 gold, so it's not... the castle times might even be in favor of our Canadian player. Interestingly, a second mining camp coming here for Villese. I guess he just wants maximum efficiency.
That's how the cubes work.
You have to use the cube-shaped buildings, too, for maximum cube effect.
And again, just houses getting thrown up behind the palisade as well can delay the push even further. And we do have Hera clicking up to Castle Age. We shouldn't see Villese too far behind that one now. Still looking for about 200 food, but hopefully this little advantage will help Hera kind of push forward with the tech. And then what do you predict? Are we going to kind of see him go into more of an eco play behind this? Or is he going to try and push the advantage, get his upgrades, and do some damage?
I mean, I think that Hera's in a really good spot to be aggressive. I mean, this is a very aggressive map, Valley, and, you know, his base isn't that amazing, so why not just, you know, keep your opponent in his base, build some, you know, like a forward siege workshop, maybe a monastery if you see stables, which is actually indeed the case here for Villese, and just try and, you know, pressure your opponent down. Use the strength of the Aztecs in that early to mid game.
I think one of the biggest things we have seen from Hera here is he has been too reliant on that fact of moving back into the boom or kind of committing to a little mini boom behind some actual military play as well, and hasn't really kind of gone for it properly. So we'll see if his confidence is kind of a little bit shaken here and decides just to go for the boom, or if he is feeling like he's in a good enough position here to really kind of risk it and go with the military. Because I guess that's the only downside. If you boom, you just need to keep your village account up as high as your opponent. Whereas with your military, if you go full into that flight, then you actually have to do some damage to really make it worth it.
Yeah, but we can see Hera he's not really pressuring. I mean, yeah, like he's not going to be able to get a ton of damage done right here, and he's actually forced the defensive watchtower out from Villese, so that's a nice little win for Hera. I think the Eagle Scout must have seen these archers trying to loop around or something. Well, those men-at-arms aren't doing so well. And Hera actually might be able to catch all of these guys out of position.
All right, and my other question is actually, did Hera see the double stable? Or at least the single stable? I don't think he has.
Using the power of spectating. No, I don't think he has.
Alright, so he could be completely caught off guard here as well. We do have a siege workshop coming up on the front for Hera, so it looks like he does want to commit into that play a little bit more, be a little bit more aggressive than usual, but the town center's coming up in the back as well.
Well, 2TC aggression is totally a thing. You know, you can make it work. It's just, you know, not quite as defensive or aggressive as, you know, your other options, but nicely here for Mr. Hera, sniping all of those stray archers. I'm not sure if Villese cares about this too much, if he's going to be going full Knight Skirm once again, but we'll have to see here. No monastery as of yet on the way, and of course, like we were saying, it is that double stable follow-up here for our red player.
So I'm really interested to see what read Villese gets from this, because he was in such a good position first game. He read the map entirely perfect. He read the matchup. He read everything that Hera dropped down. If he can kind of read what's going on here, that he's getting kind of a little bit of a push with the boom behind it, to see how he commits will be really interesting. We've got Husbandry on the way as well, and then we've got Knights behind that, so hopefully it should be good enough that he'll be able to push out, deal with the siege. But I haven't seen, in fact that might be a town center. No, University coming up in the back. Looks like he wants to get aggressive again.
Yeah, and I kind of like this on this map. We have, I think that's +2 defense on the way. Yeah, it is, and that's going to really, really help the crossbowmen, or the skirmishers versus the crossbowmen, rather. It is the difference between 1 and 2 damage against Bodkin crossbowmen. So it doesn't sound like much, but it is a 100% difference. And, like, if any of you just, you know, played, you know, crossbows versus skirmishers, that extra defense upgrade actually does matter a lot.
Alright, so we've got the 2 mangonels out in play at the moment from Hera. We'll be able to use them to kind of deflect the skirmishes as best as possible, so the crossbows won't be in the worst position. But like you were saying, the combination from Villese, we've got Knight skirmishes. It served him well so far. Let's see if he can pull it off again. Just needs to try and catch those mangonels out of position, which it looks like Hera could be kind of moving himself a little bit wide here.
Yeah, I do like that Villese went outside of his base to try and, you know, loop around a little bit instead of, like, trying to take the fight in the choke point where all of his units possibly could have died to mangonels. That wouldn't have been so great. But still, Hera has 3 mangonels, and that is a scary, scary presence, unless these knights that have +1/+1 and bloodlines and husbandry pretty well upgraded so far, but not if you run right into crossbows.
We do have a monastery getting thrown up from Hera as well, so he is looking like he's ready to kind of, I guess, transition into a counter here, so he will be able to deal with the knights a lot more effectively. I was just really worried he was kind of backing off for a minute there.
Well, we do see Villese grabbing the guard tower upgrade, and that is something I am a huge fan of against Mangonel.
The Mangonel Shredder.
Oh yeah, 7 base attack, does 3 damage to Mangonels once Vodkin comes in, and that is just so helpful. However, as well as Villese is holding on here defensively, he is now behind Hera in terms of economy, as Hera did get the second TC going much sooner than his opponent, and is now actually up to the 3 town centers. And Hera working with a nice 6 villager lead, and that's only going to be increasing over time.
So we do have Villese dropping down another town center towards the front of his base, just in the goal towards the north. So he will be able to, I guess, even it out. But the thing is, like you were saying, Hera does have that lead at the moment. He will be able to hold on to it. Hera's also the one making all the moves when it comes down to the military play here. He's got Villese stuck in his base, and that town center at the front, it might be a little bit bold considering how many Mangonels we've got out in the field.
That's true, but the Mangonels are definitely out of position, and oh, that was a nice attempted attack round. Mangonel now coming in here for Villese, and it is now going to be all about these Mangonels for Hera. Can they get the damage done? Ballistics is now in for Hera as well, getting a nice couple of villager snipes. That's always going to be something that he'll take. Now it's just the micro dance back and forth. Also behind this, Hera grabbing a couple relics as Aztec's going to be super good.
Hera is actually starting to play this remarkably well. He's looking at the entire picture of the game. He's pushing wherever he can. He built up his economy well behind this, and he's transitioned quite well. It's just really about trying to get whatever damage he can and just hold Villese in his base at this point. I'm really hoping he kind of notices that town center towards the top here, but here come the knights. It looks like the Mangonels not caught out of position actually with the crossbows there, luckily.
The crossbows are there, and I think these knights might have wanted to go for the dive bomb if they had the +2 armor, but they obviously do not. So I think that, yeah, the knights could have just been shredded way too quickly for that to be worth it. Nice Mangonel hit there, though, for Mr. Villese. That is now 1 Mangonel down, 2 to go. 2 Mangonels apiece for each player, actually. But behind this, Hera doing a nice job collecting the relics, as we were saying, and he is still the one dictating the pace of this game.
He's prepared himself really well, and ooh, is that a 2-for-1 shot?
Oh, no.
All right, now Villese can move out across the map if he wants to. He's got an extra Mangonel there. He's got the Knights, so he does have some of the positional advantage here if he wants to take it. So it's just about trying to push back across the map, and let's see if we can see this one kind of flip over now.
Yeah.
Hera still does have that advantage in terms of the eco pop behind this, 80 compared to 69 villages, but Hera's got to find a way to hold this one again. Hopefully he'll get a couple of Mangonels out and be able to hold on to this.
Well, he has 1 Mangonel out so far. Monk here going to be biting the dust. But Villese kind of needs to make something happen right now. He did take a nice fight there earlier, but he can't just let Hera sit back because, well, he's just clicked up to Imperial Age. That's Aztecs for you. Villese nowhere near Imperial Age, which, you know, on top of Aztecs having the crazy good farmers, they have the army is very, very cheap as far as like the food cost goes. Knight skirmishers both costing food, crossbowmen, monks, Mangonels, none of those cost food. So your Imperial Age times Aztecs is almost always going to be pretty good, and this is no exception.
Great Mangonel shot there from Hera as well, cleaning this one up and really pretty much forcing the army of Villese back across the map now. Going to be able to march his way across. All he really needs to do is hold out at this stage, not lose too many units, take efficient trades if he's going to take any before he gets his upgrades, and then basically it's just about trying to push in and close this one out.
Yeah, and if Villese is backing up right here, then I think that might just be in some way handing Hera the game, just because he's going to hit Imperial Age, he's going to get Arbalest. We already see the Eagle Warrior transition underway. Like, Hera is just ready to go as far as Imperial Age plays. Also doing a nice job taking this neutral gold to the north pretty early on as well.
5 barracks already up for Hera as well, and like you said, going for that Eagle Warrior transition. He's queued up the Eagles, he's getting his armor upgrade, getting his Eagle research in fact. So behind that, getting the gold as well, he's really setting himself up for late game if the raiding doesn't just end this one straight away.
Yeah, of course, that is going to be a big problem. The TC at the front, as you were saying, could be a little bit in jeopardy. +2 defense now coming in, another Mangonel, and you see Villese is just nowhere near Imperial Age. Looks like he did get a 1-for-0 Mangonel trade, though, against Hera, so that's the sort of thing he needs, and without any sort of Mangonels, then, okay, no, one just completed right there, already spread formation on these skirmishers, and the Knights, they are ready to go.
Villese should start seeing all the barracks right now. He should know what's happening, and he just backs up pretty much straight away as soon as he sees that.
that is a very decisive nope out of there. Yeah, do not want to run into a bajillion Eagle Warriors, you know, give or take a few.
And there's Imperial.
There's Imperial, +1/+2 already in, as well as the Eagle Warrior upgrade, 1-for-1 Mangonel trade. But the thing is, Villese is going to kind of struggle to actually retreat here, but it's a matter of, okay, there is Elite Eagle Warrior on the way, but these crossbowmen are not getting upgrades, and that, I think, is... It's interesting, I guess, for Hera, because he's just completely focusing on the Eagle Warrior switch, but it means that these crossbowmen will probably just get cleaned up by the skirmishers.
All right, and Villese just about has the resources to move up to Imperial himself here. So really, if he can hold Hera back until he can get onto the equal upgrades front, there is a good chance of it. He just takes smart engagements behind this and is really just putting the pressure on, trying to stop this because he knows exactly what's going to happen the moment he backs off. It's just going to be Eagles throughout his base, absolutely everywhere. So trying to deal with those now could be a good situation.
Turkey, what kind of fight is this for Hera? Like, he still is likely to clean up everything eventually, but he's just, like, letting the Knights take the fight versus the Eagles and the Skirmishers against the Crossbowmen. You want it to be the other way around. You can't just let your opponent get the good unit matchups. But like I was saying, yeah, eventually this will be cleaned up, and I still do favor Hera's position by a fair bit, but that just seemed kind of wasteful. This
has been a way, yeah, for Villese to, again, try and pull it back towards him, taking this engagement now, just slow down any raiding, any push that was going to come from Hera. But Hera at this point, like, we still haven't seen the click from Villese, actually. He's got the resources in the bank to do it, and he's only just clicked up now.
Yeah, I think you're a little behind, actually.
I'm coming.
You're like 30 seconds behind, man.
I'm a-coming.
Get with the times. But right now it's 33 military to big 3 for Villese, and that's not going to be so great. There is a castle coming up, trying to hold on defensively. I don't believe Hera has a castle of his own anywhere, so that's going to be something. Of course, you're going to want to switch on to Chuko Nu eventually, but all of the momentum is in favor of Hera right now, and that's, like we were saying from the very beginning, is just one of the strengths of Aztecs as a civilization. Oh, Eagles. Traffic jam on aisle 7 right there. An additional Sables coming in as well, so I guess it's going to be for the full Cavalier play.
And then behind this, we even have Hera dropping in some proxy in terms of the barracks that are in there as well. Going to be able to just continue to raid from the north, send those Eagles in. He did get plate mail behind this as well, just finishing up there. So this is basically Villese's chance to just try and survive and then continue the game. Otherwise, Hera, pretty much game over.
Yeah, it's still 36 military to 8, villager count 10 in favor of Hera as well. And this is going to be pretty rough, because now we have Arson in for our blue player as well. The Eagles are now going to be shredding through buildings, and looks like some siege workshops being prepped as well behind this, likely to be going for a big ram push onto that castle.
And that could just be absolutely game-ending. So right now, we're just looking at Villese trying to hold as best he can. Needs to get some kind of foothold to push in, but down towards the south, Hera just pushing with so many Eagles as well. Towards the north, this is just becoming too much for Villese to be able to deal with. Like you said, Arson has come in, so those Eagles just getting through those houses so quickly now.
I mean, how many times have we seen Aztecs just make the punishing game-winning play with Eagle Warriors in early Imperial Age? It's one of the strongest moments for the civilization, and this time seems to be no exception. Blast Furnace and Garland Wars coming in simultaneously here for Hera. I'm not sure where his castle is, actually. Okay, it's all the way back at home defensively, so Hera's just playing this one uber safe. And pause. And resume.
Unpaused. Alright, so I guess at this point, what can Villese really do? He's got his defensive castle up, and it's kind of protecting his gold there, but we've got Eagle Warriors just sitting under them. Huge amount of PSR. We've got 4+4 on those guys now. Like you said, Garland Wars coming in behind this, Blast Furnace as well, so very, very close to maximum upgrades on them. And at this point, the villages, all the economy, it's just going to slowly get raided to the ground.
Slowly? This is a pretty quick pace of economic destruction right there. And indeed, that will be the GG called by Villese. Hera tying up this series 1-1, taking his home map of Valley, and definitely just a very, very strong play from him. Perhaps a little bit shaky in the early game losing that villager, but from like late Feudal Age onward, it was just Hera completely dictating the pace of the game.
No, Hera played really, really well. Managed to fall behind a little bit at the start, found his way back into the game, and then pushed it out from there. Managed to hold Villese in his base very efficiently, got the extra town center up behind it as well. We were kind of a little bit sketchy there, debating on whether it was just a little bit kind of too much towards two different strategies, but he realized that he didn't need any extra military count, continued to go the extra town centers behind that, and put himself into a great spot.
Yeah, and it was just Hera dictating the game as Aztecs, which is just one of the best civilizations to take advantage of an advantage, so to say. And yeah, that will be closing out game number 2. Game number 3 will be on RF, I believe.
Exciting times. Regicide Fortress, I would say pretty much a tournament classic map.
Oh yeah. It is let's not check the lobby browser this time. We're learning. We're learning over time.
That's it. No lobby browser. We need spectate.
Yeah, it's pretty. Regicide Fortress is a map that I really like playing, and I don't mind casting. It can be a little bit slow in the beginning, but I think there's just so much strategy, and there's going to be, I think, possibly some mind games here. There you have the good old Mayans and Goths. Possible flip, maybe throw in something like Vikings to counter Goths. We saw TaToH do it.
That's it, NAC too.
Exactly. We'll have to see what these guys go for here. We could see Kumans potentially with the double TC. And yeah, there's plenty of options.
Siege Workshop, like we saw from Viper earlier, go for a King Snipe. I don't know, I'm getting ridiculous now.
That might be a little too much.
Look, a man can dream.
And a man can shoot down your dreams that are foolish.
Just as easily. So we are currently on a 1-1. This is a best of 5, so potentially could go out to all 5 games. As we were saying earlier, we think a lot of people are just going, Hera's got this one. Villese, though, he's super strong.
He is just a solid player. And yeah, it paid off for him in game number 1. It was able to exploit Hera as being a little bit too greedy. Hera rubbing his eyes. It is so early in the morning. It's like, what, 2:45 p.m. or something? It's crack of dawn right here. And, well, gotta wait here to get into the game. I know I'm ready for the next one.
All right, let's have a look. We're still waiting on the spec, guys.
I know, man.
They're making these decisions. They're not taking it easily. All right.
I mean, you do have to, prepare your civs for an entire series. This could go all 5 games. It's already 1-1. You don't want to use a civ now that you might want to use later. And Islands and Land Madness, I guess there's like a certain amount of civs that you would want to use on either. But Regicide Fortress, I think you can kind of work with a completely different set of civs. We do have to note, though, that Villese will be unable to pick Chinese because he already played them in the last game.
Yeah, so for those just tuning in as well, or you're not exactly sure, it is free pick in terms of the actual maps themselves. Valley did have a Mongol ban on it, however, so neither people could pick it. But from there, it's just basically up to you in terms of what you want to pick, just no repeats of civilizations.
Exactly. So because these players, they played... what was it? Huns Aztecs?
Yes.
In game 1, and then was it double Aztecs?
No, was it?
Oh.
Oh no, we've done the thing. We were here for all of it, chat. We were here.
Oh,
we watched it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't expect me to remember things from like a half hour ago. That's too much. But regardless, Malians versus Huns. Thank you, chat. Chat's always got our back.
There we go. They got our back.
So they can't play those civs, and they can't play Aztecs or Chinese.
Excellent, but it looks like we should be just about underway for a game number 3 of the series, Regicide Fortress, which is Villese's home map in terms of his pick. We'll jump in and find out what civilizations they are in 1 second, of course. From there, hopefully we push this out.
Turk. You got my hopes up. I was all ready to go. You can
clearly
they
started,
see...
then they stopped.
Yeah.
We got excited again, guys.
We got baited, guys. I personally blame OverlayGuy.
I would also like to just say right now, take this minute. OverlayGuy gets so much love behind the cameras. It's turned into just an absolute existing meme.
We know the game is starting. Don't worry. You're going to have Chinese versus Mayans here once the game loads. Here we go. We will have, on Regicide Fortress, winning the last game, the Hera as the blue Chinese here to the southwest of the map.
Then over towards the northeast of the map in the red, we do have Villese playing as the Mayans, one of the, I would say, all-time classic civilizations of Fortress Regicide.
Or Regicide Fortress.
Regicide Fortress, however you like to say it, I guess.
Regicide Fortress.
Regicide Fortress. All right, guys, it's Regicide Fortress.
OrnLu has decreed. So let's take a look at the castle positionings. Looks like Villese's castle positioning is pretty nice. It covers main gold, secondary gold, which is actually in the walls, stones right by, wood in the back. Other wood lines might be a little bit forward or hard to come by, but other than that, seems to be a pretty decent map.
Very bare.
Yeah, this is a very open, barren fortress. It really makes you question who built these fortresses in the first place, because this doesn't seem to be an area of great strategic value.
Checking out the relics as well, it does look very, very even between players at the moment, which is always nice to see on a map like this. We have 2 just on the right side of Hera there, or on each side anyway, and then Villese 1 on each side, and a neutral relic out towards the northwest as well.
Oh, that's pretty even. So nice relic distribution there. And taking a look here at the map of Hera, castle not in the worst spot in the world. Gold right outside of his base near the towers. Where is his other secondary gold? Am I blind? Oh wait, no, it's all the way over here. And there's a neutral gold way over on the left-hand side. So this is not bad at all for Hera.
Yeah, the gold positioning looks great for him.
Yeah, he's got both of the quote-unquote neutral golds in his like 2 corners of the map. So the onus is definitely going to be on Villese, I think, to make something happen like by the mid-Imperial Age. Otherwise, if Hera can secure both of those golds as Chinese versus Mayans, like they're going to be flattening Chinese will flatten Mayans with Chuko news.
Oh yeah, and that's just something, I think we've even seen that play off already. I believe we saw that in DauT versus TaToH earlier on this, well, yesterday, I believe, actually, where the Chuko news, once they're in mass, they can just deal with the plumed archers so effectively.
Yeah, and then you can start, like the Mayan player will try and switch into Eagle Warriors, but you have to wait till you get all the upgrades on those, and that takes a little while. So it's going to be a matter of relic control in the mid-game, where Mayans are going to very much have the advantage. I mean, this is a matchup we see all the time. This is an absolute classic, and I think Mayans are favored like 55-45 because you really can snowball that. But, of course, the late game, as we saw yesterday, is going to be in favor of Chinese. So it's going to be, can Villese take those more early aggressive steps as far as Regicide Fortress goes, and make something happen in Castle Age.
Exactly. It's basically just hunting for targets as soon as your plumes are out, trying to find any advantage you can, really push away at any wood line, The problem is that Hera's map is just so good for this right now. It's going to make it it's just so hard for the plumes to push in against this. The gold is quite close towards the center of the map. The berries are relatively center. Not that's going to matter kind of later on, but even pushing from there, the wood's directly under the protection of the castle as well. So it's going to be very, very hard for him to kind of make use of this.
Yeah, I guess you could say that both of the secondary golds for Hera are on the left-hand side, so if Villese somehow gets like a position by the relic or something, then that could be a disaster, but that does seem pretty tricky as it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and it could be really easy for Hera to cut off reinforcements and all that good stuff. I think the question then becomes, how many TCs are you going to add and how quickly, especially in relation to when you add monasteries to collect relics? Because like Arena, on these more closed maps, you want to be able to grab the relics nice and quick.
And I guess the thing is behind this as well now, if you were listening to Hera the other day, the cost on plumed archers has increased.
Wait,
how many
really?
town centers can you add behind that?
I mean, you probably can't afford any.
No, they're just too expensive now.
And people are saying, oh, it's a meme, it's like it's so annoying. No, it's actually not an exaggeration, because story time, I was stuck at the airport waiting for Liereyy with Hera and Dave a couple days ago, and they were just talking for like, what was it, like 2 hours or something, and Hera brought up like literally 5 or 6 times how much plumed archers cost now and how they're just like a trash unit, I think is the direct quote.
Obvious reason he went for Chinese on this map then.
Oh yeah. Hashtag clearly. Anyway, both players clicking up the Castle Age at this point. Villagers going on to Stone. In case you guys are unfamiliar with the Regicide setting, you start with 0 gold and only 150 stone. So what you do is you just add 2 to 3 villagers, bring them on over to Stone until you have 200. Then you can add the extra 2 TCs like you're playing normally. So everything, it's Regicide Fortress. There's not going to be a ton of deviation in terms of what you do in the early to mid game.
Exactly, so we might spend a little bit more time kind of checking out the POVs from the players as well, just because there's not really a heap going on the map, so it's really nice to see exactly what they're looking at, what they're focusing on, and even just some of that APM and the ability they do use.
Yep, just chilling, just scouting around. It's Regicide Fortress. You can take your time, relax.
So it's those sweet cubes.
Oh yeah, enjoy Age of Cubes. Think about where you're going to go look for the diamond vein with your iron pickaxe.
But it does really bring up a good point that you did say before, actually, especially with the acacia trees. You can see how easy it is to actually kind of decide where the holes are in the map. Against that, you can see the gates running directly towards it, the walls. So it does make things a lot easier. It may not be the most visually pleasing mod in the world. I know to some people they absolutely love the mod. It's the most visually pleasing thing in the world, but to most people, not kind of the cup of tea.
It's just blocks. Like they'd reduce this to like an 8-bit game if they could, I'm sure. That way they can play on mobile. Anyway, Castle Age is in for both of these players. Both will be adding their unique units, in some capacity. Plumed Archers are going to be cheaper and easier to mass, which is why we're saying that Mayans should be taking control in the mid game. Instantly, we're seeing 2 TCs thrown down by Mr. Hera. Villese, meanwhile, only the 1 additional town center. And will this be for another TC, or what's his angle here?
Looks like he's really wanting to kind of commit into the plumed archers a little bit more, I guess, because they are so much more expensive now.
Yeah.
And basically be able to try and, I guess, hold Hera down with the damage he does with those, while he works to getting his 3rd town center up behind this as well. We can see, of course, though, Hera being smart about it, he knows the Chukunus need to come out, so he's going to have them in position to hopefully be able to deal with the plumed archers before they can really make too much of a difference, and then he can hold on to that lead he'll have with the extra town center.
Yeah, you can see that Villese was very much rushing to get the Plumed Archers out. Is going to be adding in the 3rd TC, same as his opponent, but is going to be doing so, like, slower. So I think that I'm not sure what this really accomplishes. It's not like you're going for fast monks yourself. I guess it will like punish like monastery first play from Hera, but it seems like the safest play with Chinese would just be to go for 3 TCs and just try and survive until late game. But still, the Plumed Archers, if they can snipe the scout, will definitely be well worth it. But that's not likely.
Yeah, they're not that fast.
No. Oh no, the lion? No more lion. First death of the game is that poor lion. Actually, it's probably one of the sheep. Or no, there are no sheep on this map. It's one of the boars.
Alright, so we can finally see Hera starting to move out with his Chukunu as well. It's about kind of getting the map control at this stage as well, trying to figure out where your extra resources are, what you can work with, and how you can defend those. Like we were saying earlier on, Hera in a really good position with the neutral goals there, basically being in each corner of his side of the map. So really, the longer Hera drags this out, the better situation it's going to kind of be in as time goes.
Yeah, Hera does seem to just be kind of one step ahead of Villese right now. He's 6 villagers ahead due to the faster 3 TCs, and neither player is going for relics yet, but Monastery is now on the way here for Hera. Villese, I don't see one at all, and I feel like that's a mistake with Mines. Mines, you have the more aggressive civ, you want to be out and taking that map control.
If you've just got so much speed on the Plumed Archer, you can really lock it down very, very quickly, use that advantage to get yourself the relics, and then from there, you'll have at least a bonus towards late game. On a map like this, where Hera has so much extra gold, it makes things a little bit harder, but at least the longer it goes at that point, Villese can kind of move back into an advantageous position.
Yep, both players do now have Fletching as their only upgrade. Monk already on the way here for Hera. And yeah, Villese running around here with these Plumed Archers, I just don't think they're going to be getting a ton of damage done. Maybe the occasional villager snipe, but Hera's 7 villagers ahead right now, and good reaction time from him, not losing anybody.
Beautiful.
That was quite clean from him. Actually moving out with the Chukunu, thinking that this is an amount of Plumed Archers that I can take. 6 Chukunu, 6 Plumed Archers. Who wins? Who is the better unit in a one-on-one trade?
And then behind that as well, we've even got the micro to come between it. We've got the dual point of views, guys.
Ooh.
We'll try and throw it into the dual point of view next time we have a big micro war, so that way everyone can see exactly what's going on. Oof, is now the chance? Now's the chance.
Oh, go for it.
We're doing it, guys.
Oh, man. Trying to take the engagement here. But in small numbers, the Chukunu should kind of just be picked apart by the Plumed Archers as they can dance around a bit better. But very, very nice micro here from Hera. Just 1 dead apiece, nothing too huge.
And it looks like we will see the retreat. This is the thing as well for Hera that he's going to have really big problems with. The Plumed Archers are so good at really getting on the tail for this one as well, so they can pull you back in. So anytime you try to get to retreat out of the engagement, you generally lose a couple of extra units on the way out as well.
Yeah, certainly. But overall, the micro has been pretty good so far for Hera, but he did just lose 2 Chukunu right there. And remember, the Chukunu are more expensive and take longer to train than the Plumed Archers. So this, well, obviously the game's paused right now, but beyond that, it's what? 7 Plumed Archers versus like 3 to 4 Chukunu.
And those Chukunu right now just 1 out. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
And it looks like we are back into the game. It looks like we just had a small pause there from the players. And Chukunu have been cleaned up and complete map control now to Villese. Looks like a little bit of kind of miscontrol here as well. Trying to take on that tower with the plumed archers, probably not the best idea, but he gets out of there without taking any losses.
Yeah, that's fine. The problem right now for Villese is that, yes, you took a nice fight right there, but you're still down like 10 villagers, and you're not actually gaining any relics from your map control right now, so get some relics, Villese. Make this map control mean something, because otherwise they're just dancing around in box formation.
The best of the formations, but no monastery at all yet for Villese as well, so he has kind of got the map control, but like he said, he's not really doing too much with it. At the same extent, he's trying to kind of get those villager picks where he can, but hasn't been able to find anything, and behind in the villager count, that's not what you're after here. Hera looking like he's going to be in a really strong position here as the game plays out, and even starting to move out with his own monks now to pick up these relics.
Yeah, certainly. You see Villese darting around here with these plumed archers looking to find an angle, but it's going to be really, really hard to ever find one. Do see Monk now coming in here for Hera, possibly trying to get a conversion. No dice on that one. And yeah, I wonder if Villese is like just trying to go for a huge early Imperial Age play and just like make sure he keeps his huge mass of plumed archers alive and just snowball as far as that goes, but I feel like still you should try and get the relics if you have that option.
Even then though, Villese, if we look at his resources, still super, super low in terms of what he's actually got there. Hera will be definitely the one up into Imperial first.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess I'm not sure what the game plan is. You can see with the resources of Hera, he is a little bit closer to Imperial Age than is Villese. And
Hera looking for a fight over towards the west side of the map here as well. Getting a lot of plumes as well.
You got, what, 3 plumes for 1 Chukonu? That's
4.
4. That's certainly pretty good. Now the plumed archers just forced to run away. They could be trapped by these reinforcing Chukonu. And 1 villager is not going to be much of a consolation prize at this stage in the game.
Not at all, especially when you're already behind like this, like you've been saying pretty much the entire game. 10 villager difference already. Hera's starting to look like he's banking up the resources for Imperial Age. Nearly 600 food. Oh, nope, he just spent like 300. Don't worry about that. Forget what I said. But he's back up to 500. It's all right.
Still, though, he'll be able to reach Imperial Age really soon, or at least click up to Imperial Age really soon. He's got plenty of villagers on stone for additional castles, additional Chukonu, and like there hasn't been all that much action so far. I mean, it's Regicide Fortress, that's not too surprising, but it is these little decisions, these little maneuvers that can make the game just completely snowball out of control. You see that Hera actually has a military advantage over the cheaper plumed archers with the more expensive Chukonu.
And from there as well, we're only just seeing a Siege Workshop get thrown up by Villese now. Doesn't even have a monastery behind this one as well. So he hasn't really taken any of the relics. We've already got Hera going out to take his second relic there, I believe, as well, going for the neutral relic towards the middle there. And there's really not going to be too much Villese can do at this point to really stop him pushing in and getting more of those relics. 25% of the way, even further now for Imperial Age as well.
Yep, Villese is going to be clicking up himself fairly soon. But, of course, we have Hera rounding out all of his archer upgrades. That's all looking good. I'm pretty sure he got ballistics earlier. Yeah, there's the university for it. Get handcart. And Chinese do need a larger economy than Mayans, but it is, you know, Hera's making it work. There we have Imperial Age, around 50% difference between the two players, and that could be a big difference if it does come down to a Treb war.
Both players adding on a 4th town center as well, looking to kind of get a little bit more control over the golds on the map. Both players adding one towards the back of their base there, and we do even have Villese moving out onto a 2nd stone. So it looks like he knows what he wants here. It's just a matter of whether he can actually catch up to Hera at this point. And as long as Hera doesn't make any bad decisions, he's pretty much got this one.
Yeah, there's, what is it, relic number 3? Yeah, relic number 3 coming in here for Hera. That's pretty surprising with Chinese. And both players have their 2nd castles on the way. Well, wait a minute. I thought Villese was building a castle.
Alright. And having a quick look at the Fogger's War as well, Hera has actually not scouted the gold over on the west of the map in the corner there yet. And as for Villese, let's jump across. Let's see if he knows what he's actually up against here. He actually hasn't scouted any of the extra golds on the other side of the map at this point.
Yeah, that's definitely not great. because you need, like on a map like Regicide Fortress, which can so often go to a very long late game, as we saw yesterday, taking those extra golds can become very, very important. And need to know where those are so you can plan your long-term strategies accordingly. But still, we have Hera in Imperial Age. He's getting Bracer, Chemistry, Trebuchets, all that good stuff. And I think, you know, he's knowing that he's faster up, he's going to want to push out pretty soon.
Absolutely. He needs to take that advantage while he can right now. I guess the bad news is Villese has started putting some castles on the high ground as well, so we'll be able to keep that advantage, but as soon as the trebuchets come up, it's up to Villese to move out and really begin to deal with that. The trebuchets are great in terms of just creating an advantage position in terms of the fact you can dictate the engagements again, because the thing is you can't just leave a trebuchet, you need to go deal with it. And with the huge range, there's not a lot of things that can really approach it without getting right up into the army.
Yeah, we already have Capdram and the Elite Chukonu upgrade on the way for Hera as well. I assume some more siege workshops are going to be added, and that is exactly what Hera wants to be doing at this point. Also, if it does come down to a Treb war, Chukonu are better at sniping trebuchets than our Plumed Archers, at least if they can, you know, get in and just fire a huge volley of I guess, crossbow bolts. Yeah, a lot of ones is better than just one. Actually, wait, is that the tower with the king? That is the tower with the king.
Oh, nah.
Oh. Okay, I think
it's going to move him to the castle, or into the back in one of the towers, I guess, at this point.
Oh yeah, there's like a tower right here. That is likely where he will be ending up.
That's looking like a good fleet position.
Yeah, definitely. Still, tower down. Nothing too huge. Trebuchet just moving on out.
Military count, very, very even, but we've got all the upgrades right now we wanted for Hera. We do have Villese starting to get those ones in as well that he's looking for. Chemistry on the way, starting to get his trebuchet numbers out as well, but Hera already having the 2 trebs. He's got that elite upgrade, he's got his bodkin, he's got his chemistry. He's getting the stuff that he really wants here, and it's up to Villese really to be able to hold this one now, just until he can start matching him in terms of the tech.
Yeah, but we already have Onager on the way here. I'm pretty sure that's Onager. Yeah, that's Onager on the way here for Hera, and that is going to be so strong against the Plumed Archers. Yeah, they don't one-shot Plumed Archers because they have too much HP, but still just doing a massive amount of splash damage. Yeah, DauT definitely learned how good Onagers are against Plumed Archers.
To reference the TaToH match from the other day.
Exactly.
We had some big hits that changed that gameplay entirely.
Oh yeah, definitely. And now we have almost full upgrades on these Elite Chukonu for Hera, just missing the Rocketry upgrade. Meanwhile, for Villese, just missing chemistry and some defense upgrades. Those are almost coming in though, but oh no, it's Onager time.
He manages to get a big hit on the trebuchet there, but loses the Onager in the process, and Chukonu numbers still looking good. As far as the military count goes, we are starting to get an advantage towards Villese here though, 22 compared to 17. Problem is, he's still in the back foot here.
He's still on the back foot as far as momentum goes, and wait, he's trying to treb 2 castles at once. I'm not sure what one of Hera's trebs is doing, the one on the south. Whereas we have 3 trebuchets here for Villese, and they're all focusing the one treb of Hera, which definitely makes sense because, like, defending your castles is just so important here. But both players are creeping up to full upgrades. Both, I think, are only missing one at this point, Rocketry versus the last armor upgrade. And yeah, Onager coming in for both players as well. Siege Ram is on the way.
Siege Ram's a really good play at this point, can be able to push in against the trebuchets, soak up a lot of that damage from the plumes, and will give him an entry point to again force this engagement he's so desperately looking for.
Yeah, certainly. The one thing for Hera, I would say, is that the actual Chukonu numbers are fairly low, making him somewhat reliant on getting some decent Onager hits to be able to close the gap against the Plumed Archers, because I think they might even win in a straight-up fight just due to numbers.
And there's the Onager hit coming in. Didn't really do too much there, not super effective. I guess it does help out the fact he has got the 3 relics in at the moment compared to Villese's only 1. But, ooh, that was the only a fight I was worried about.
Yeah, that, I mean, I guess that was sort of okay for Villese because he didn't, like, lose the trebuchets, but he's still on the back foot. The trebuchets of Hera are still working away against that castle. But with Onagers coming now in for Villese, starting to kill one of the trebuchets, this is the sort of thing he does need. Rocketry, though, on the way here for Hera.
And let's have a look really quickly here. How's Villese going? He's got a fair amount of gold still left in the back of his map there, so he's not going to start worrying about that one too bad. And he's still got both of them left in his actual base as well, so we're not needing to worry too much about him running out of gold or any positioning here. And it's just about him trying to do the damage while he can now, while the momentum's shifting.
Yeah, Villese starting to mass up that army, and that's just because Mayans are so cheap, they're so cost-effective. I mean, sorry, even when you're going for Plumed Archers, you can still manage to make, somehow it's still a cheap and cost-efficient unit, somehow. Maybe if Villese wins this game, I'll give Hera a super hard time about it because yeah, that's definitely happening. Anyway, so much food and gold banked up here for Hera. We did see him making some stables. He's actually just getting light cav and chainmail armor. So yeah, Hera can make a lot of different switches here should he want to. Meanwhile, Villese's resources far more stretched.
Hera doing a really good job thinking about the late game here. He knows it has gone into a little bit of a stalemate in terms of this fight in the middle. He has lost the shift in terms of the momentum here. Plumed archers running around the side. Looks like they are trying to cut off any kind of resource they have here, but Hera does have the castle up. He realizes this is a strategic point that we could see a push in against, and he has realized that nice and easily, and looks like he will lose a couple of villages there, but it's not going to be anything that will kind of really shift the game.
Yeah, I mean, losing 3 villagers when you had 140, not really the end of the world. I think we're at, what, 3 castles for each player. Stone now just going to be running low fairly soon here for Villese, but obviously killing these castles is just so important when it comes to maintaining the mass of your unique unit, which is so important for both of these players. Now, once again, castles under siege for Villese.
And looking at this as well, Hera, like you said, is starting to tech into that light cavalry. A lot of them about to hit the field. We've got a lot of extra siege workshops getting thrown up as well. Hera really looking to be in a situation here where he can repop his army almost immediately. So if he does make a move on top of the trebuchets, on top of the plumed archers, he can just continue to reinforce and just whittle down those numbers. And like you were referencing earlier, Villese does have a little bit more trouble with resources at the moment. So Hera can kind of afford to throw this away a little bit more and just chip down those numbers of Villese.
Yeah, all of the honors going down without any like massive hits going in onto the Chukonu, and that is actually still a lot of plumed archers. That's a lot of plumed archers. I guess they're relatively similar numbers of Chukonu, but yeah, plumed archers are quite scary. More onager hits could be huge. That's just a 1-for-1.
And a miss there, some good micro from Villese as well.
Indeed, that will be the case. Villese making me so happy getting all the building HP upgrades. Those are some 7,028 HP castles right there. That's going to take forever to chew through uphill with no siege engineers.
And just look at those trebuchets getting absolutely annihilated there by the plumed archers as well. Chukunu's just jumping onto it, but on the other side of the map as well, Hera has lost his defensive castle on the wood there, so he is 1 castle down.
Yeah, we did see earlier that Villese built that castle up on the left-hand side, as it is an excellent staging point to start attacking Hera. But another defensive castle coming in here for Hera doesn't want to, fall behind in that castle count, as we've been saying. And something definitely in Villese's favor is he stonewalled the entire right side of the map, and that is definitely the sort of thing you want in this scenario, as you don't want it to be raided to death by light cap, as that was the death of DauT in that aforementioned RF game yesterday.
Hera looking for another position to kind of push in through, was actually starting to start the battering on top of those stone walls there with the siege ram, so we could kind of find another position to really kind of move in from, trying to stay away from that castle on the hill, which is just such a good point for Villese to really camp around and just do what damage it needs to and hold Hera at bay.
Well, I think this would be a really good point for Hera to attack, as you see there's just no castles around here. I guess there's one on the way, but, production buildings being constructed by Villese, but they're not here yet. So this is definitely a good angle that you could potentially just bust into the base of Villese and try and take that fight. We'll have to see how that works out. Siege rams are just so strong against plumed archers, who only deal 1 damage to them. Ooh, even onager cutting through.
I was a little bit worried that we were going to see 1 big hit on top of these Chukunus, and it keeps starting to worry me, but they are starting to retreat now. Hera, again, just looking not to really lose anything he doesn't have to here. Playing this game very safe.
Yep, completely safe play. Knows that he does have the better civ in the late game. Just a few plumed archers on the left-hand side, not really doing a whole lot. But it looks like, I'm not sure what happened to those trebuchets of Villese.
They did get cleaned up by some light cav.
Nope, there's still 4 of them, though.
The ones over on the west side were. Good to know that he's still got them over towards the castle, though.
Yeah. So, more and more stables coming in here for our blue player. As you actually see a pikeman transition for Villese, obviously you want those halberdiers to deal with the enemy light cavalry. It's just sort of the trash unit you mix in just to make sure you're spending your resources as, efficiently as possible. But both players definitely getting to those sorts of late-game army compositions that they're going to be looking for. And now it's a bit tricky.
Villese looking for that big push down the middle of the map now, going to start denying those siege workshops, going to get rid of those stables. And it looks like Hera's transitioned to the other side of the map now, wants to begin dealing with this west-hand side, so that way he can deal with the castle, start walling this in to make sure he doesn't get too much raid. But I'm just worried about this big army we've got in the middle here for Villese now that's going pretty much unchallenged.
Yeah, some of the production buildings are going down, but yeah, that won't actually take too long. That's a lot of trebuchets. That's what?
Oh, yeah.
4 trebs? Yeah, that's going to kill buildings pretty darn quick. But here's the big play onto the trebuchets of Villese. Lightcap should be able to clean both of those up without too much issue. And now the trebbing of the Castle of Villese has begun. It has 7,028 HP. It's going to take a while. But yeah, 3 trebuchets plus Chukonu even.
Chukonu doing what they can.
Doing their best. And yeah, that castle is going to go down pretty quickly still. Now we might see a little bit of a trade as Villese just seems to be content to continue pushing through the middle.
Really, really interesting, actually, because the thing he's got to worry about, because this is essentially a huge unique unit fight at this point, is as soon as those castles keep going down for Villese anyway, he starts losing so much production on top of his plumed archers. It becomes so hard for him to continue popping up.
Yeah, definitely. That is just the name of the game, so to say. But 4 castles still for Villese. He's totally fine as far as plumed archer production goes. For the time being, what's that? Capram on the way, plate mail. Just rounding out the tech trees is both players, but look at that production queue for Hera.
There's so much
units.
resource in the bank too. He's got over 2,000 gold there ready to go, whereas we've got Villese down on under 100.
Yeah, this is just really good long-term planning here from Hera. He's going to have the resources that he's going to need for a super long, grindy game. He can just keep on pumping out those Chukonu for such a long time.
Villese even cutting around the walls here, looking to try and find somewhere to engage, but Hera moving through with the Chukonu, going to make things very, very hard for Villese again.
Yeah, this is just kind of an awkward fight all around, but Castle to the south is starting to be trebbed up by Villese, and that is the sort of thing you need to be doing. Take these positions away from your opponent. There is a lot of lumberjacks down here for Hera, and that is going to be denying some very important wood income, as we've said way back in the beginning of the game. The wood is somewhat limited on this generation of RF.
Alright, looks like Hera's trying to find a position here to be able to fight this one back. Needs to be very wary of the Onagers there. Has moved into staggered formation as well, just because, in all honesty, he may just get taken by surprise every now and then. And here comes the formation, the Onagers behind it.
Oh man, this could be a huge decisive fight in this game. Trebuchets are going down super quickly. Onager hits are not bad, but potentially not good enough.
Oh!
Famous last words right there.
No.
Oh no!
The good news is, though, he does have the resources to keep popping up behind this, so it's not like he has lost it on this fight alone. We'll lose a little bit of ground here, but he did get most of the trebuchets as well, so we'll halt the aggression against the castle moving forward.
Yes, he did. Then that's certainly a win, but still losing that many Chukonu does indeed hurt. And this could potentially open up some raiding opportunities here for Villese, but no, just falling back a little bit. I think trying to wait for some more trebuchets or siege rams or something. And I guess this is just going to give Hera all the time he needs to get back up to that 200 population.
Hera trying to do some small raiding there in the north, but did get knocked out pretty quickly by those Onagers. So good try, but no cigar at this point in time. And those Onagers again looking for some good shots against the Chukonu, but Hera microing straight under them.
Yep, nicely done there by Hera. And yeah, the Onager numbers, the siege numbers are looking fairly low here actually for Villese. And he actually has more villagers than does Hera. Just because Hera's been able to bank up so many resources, Chinese normally need to have way more villagers than Mayans because their army's more expensive. But because Hera's banked up so many resources, he can have more population for army and the better army population efficiency-wise, which is pretty deadly.
So the bit that's kind of getting me here is Hera has found his extra gold over in the side at the moment. Villese has a lot of gold left. Like everywhere around his base at the moment. He's just not kind of mining it.
Just Mayans, man. Resources last longer and your army's super cheap. Oh, sorry. The plumed archers are incredibly expensive and trash unit, quote unquote.
It's just the fact that he's got next to nothing in the bank in terms of his gold, and he's going majority trash in terms of his queue. It's just an interesting one to note.
Yeah, you'd think he might want to just put a few more villagers onto gold at that point, but still, Villese is continuing to take at least fairly good trades right now. One Onager is out into the party here for Hera, but that's just so many trebuchets for him, and he's cleaning up these siege workshops fairly well. Gold count is getting pretty low for him, though, as he's queuing up a ton of Chukonu.
Look, he's got to spend it all, and like I said, he did just discover that extra one down in the back. Some more raiding coming on from those plumed archers as well, down towards the west side of the map. Just trying to pick away at what he can. Villese looking at any kind of advantage he can take at the moment. We do just have a pure plumed archer force now up against Onagers. We've got light cavalry getting mixed in from Hera, Chukonu, and then even the trebuchets behind that as well. And their trebuchet numbers are starting to get dangerously high.
They are pretty high. I usually say that 3 trebuchets is like the number that you just can't really, repair against. And there's going to be 5 here soon. This is going to be a bit of a problem. I think that was it was an okay onager shot. But Hera, despite being down like 20 pop, that's mostly just in the villager department, which is like, it's so flipped from what you normally see from Mayans Chinese. Like, Hera has the larger population for military.
Oh, that was huge! Oh. This is where you want that extra gold, Villese. Sorry to say it, but that was huge.
That's a feels bad man moment. That was like another 20 population. He tried to jump into the castle at the last second, but these guys are all so low. Just going to be a few hits from anything to be killed. And
Villese out of stone as well, so can't continue to repair. Is losing this hold he had on the middle here, and from there, Hera going to be able to push out into his base. We see a lot of units queued up for Hera as well, so he's repopping extremely quickly behind this. Whereas looking at Villese's tab, he's just got 3 helbs on the way.
3 helbs will not stop this amount of Chuko. Tip of the day. Oh man, this is just looking pretty rough here for Villese, which is kind of weird because he's actually been like, he was like super far ahead in score, and now he's still ahead by a little bit. It's just kind of strange how score and AoE works, but rating now coming in here from Hera. Make no mistake, he is definitely in a very, very strong position in this game right now. Almost double the military.
It's absolutely huge, the position he's put himself into. That one Onager shot just made it so much easier for him to route the center. From there, he can just set up with the trebuchets. Just needs to be very, very careful that he doesn't get any Onager hits landed against him. But like you were saying, now it's time for the light cavalry to do what it does best, which is just raid.
Indeed, that will be the case, and snipe onagers is another thing they are great at. And right now, Chukonu trundling on in here, and this is just might be the last stand of Villese in this game. Helps are coming in from the left side to deal with the light cav, but not before so much of the siege is being sniped.
Oh, this is just such an issue to be able to deal with. We've even got the elite skirms in there from Hera as well, so he's going to have a good force to stand up to those plumed archers, and a cost-effective force as well.
Yeah, and you can see that the populations are just steadily decreasing here. For Villese, Hera still at a good 76 military as another castle of Villese is falling. He's now down to 3, which is still, that is still enough for plumed archer production, but it's not great when you really need a lot of army fast.
And that's what it's been working away to this entire game. We've had a couple of those castles take it down. Hera just getting some good shots and really just being able to follow through with the momentum right now. He needs to hunt down that king though.
I mean, or you could just defeat your opponent like the normal way.
Yeah,
but
sure
yes,
enough.
the king is right here in this tower, so it's something we'll definitely keep an eye out for. Onagers coming in. These need to be some huge onager shots if Villese wants to get back in this game. He is down a good 60 population or so right now.
Hera playing it very, very safe as well, making sure to always have good line of sight in front of his army, moving in the light cavalry, and whenever he starts to get under one of those castles, starts to see anything that could be a little bit sketchy, pulling it back. He doesn't want to lose any kind of fight at this point.
Yeah, Villese's resources are pretty much at the limit right now, except for wood, but he needs gold for, his good army, and the 9k wood in the bank still for Hera. He still even has, 500 gold or so. That can easily be a couple more trebs and 10 more Chukonu or something like that.
Population count just continuing to fall at the moment for Villese, even having to queue up more villages to replace the ones lost in his ecos in the middle of his base. It's just absolutely torn through. Population at the moment, we've got 138 from Villese to 193 of Hera, and just increasing every second with this huge queue of light cavalry.
Yep, light cav going in absolutely everywhere, and the important thing is that Hera is keeping this massive 28 elite Chukonu alive, as they represent just a huge amount of power and cost in his army, but are super fragile. Under hit wasn't really that great, and yeah, in just this big straight-up fight, these plumed archers are going to get absolutely melted by the power of these elite Chukonu.
Hera on double the military count at the moment of Villese, so it doesn't make things easy for him to push into. Like you said, he's relying on these big onager shots, and he's just not able to get them at the moment.
And that will be the GG.
Game number 3 goes to Hera, making this a 2-1 series. Hera only needing 1 more to complete the best of 5.
Indeed, and that is definitely going to be something he is going to be looking forward to after losing 1-3 to Viper yesterday. But he looked good in this game. He just looked like he had that long-term plan all figured out. Gold collected is in his favor by a fair bit, and I think it just came down to Hera able to bank up so many resources, and unlike most cases with Chinese on this map versus Mayans, he was able to have more population available for army, and he had the better army, so he was just able to smash through Villese once he got that all out.
That's it. His layout was great. His map generation worked in his favor as well. Then on top of that, just having the composition to be able to slowly take the fights he needed, put him in a great position just to push this one back, moving it to a 2-1 series.
Yeah, definitely, and I guess Hera is now 100% justified. Plumed archers are trash. That is the exact reason that Hera won the game, is because the plumed archers are now a terrible unit. It has nothing to do with anything else.
So we will be moving on to game number 4 of this best of 5 series, and we should be up to islands in terms of a map. Who do you favor on water?
Oh man, Hera definitely not known as a water player. He has been practicing it. He has been getting much better at it, but it's still not something I would say is like his go-to by any means, which is why Villese has picked it. Villese, meanwhile, I mean, he's certainly comfortable on water.
Yes.
But the thing is, because he plays so much with Max, and Max looks really good on water, I have to wonder if those two have been grinding water maps.
And the thing is, this is Villese's pick as well, which means he's feeling super comfortable here. It wasn't his first pick, but it's super comfortable in terms of being able to actually pick it as one of his home maps. And I guess the thing as well, like I was saying earlier, the players here know a lot about each other. This may be a strategic pick from Villese as well, knowing he's quite good on this and he's feeling comfortable on it. It might put Hera a little bit out of his depth as well.
Depth on a water map.
Ha ha ha.
Ha, caster jokes.
This is why DauT doesn't like us.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So hopefully these guys will be getting into this one pretty soon. They are getting the lobby set right up, and should be not too long. Getting into islands, I think it is. There's at least a pretty solid chance we'll be seeing Vikings versus Italians or Japanese. Like that's kind of what we've been going with so far.
Pretty much it.
I have very little reason to think that it's going to be anything else.
Look, and I think you're pretty much bang on at this point. It's just a matter of waiting till we're in the game. Look, I can see what they're picking. We can see. We've got an extra monitor here that shows us what they're doing. We know what they're doing.
We are omniscient.
That's it. I'm definitely seeing a civilization that begins with V.
Vietnamese, let's go, boys!
Know? How did you know?
Vietnamese Navy's not very good. No water bonuses either. I'm not too sure what's going on here.
All right, so from here, this could either go to a 5-game series. Villese as well, feeling more comfortable in islands. It was his pick. We know Hera's a good all-round player in general. His water game isn't the strongest thing, and he's definitely not like strongest water player out there as well. So do you think this will go to the 5th game then?
I think there's at least a solid chance. The thing is, I haven't seen Villese like play water, 1v1 in quite a while, so I'm just interested to see how he performs. But we are getting into game number 4 here, and there is not 1, but 2 Vs, as we have a Viking mirror on islands. What year is this, boys and girls? Because we have Hera as the blue Vikings here to the south of the map on this very lush generation of islands.
And then over towards the north in the red, we do have Villese playing as the Vikings as well. So expected? Pretty expected, right?
Expected indeed. Normally, though, when you play Vikings on water maps these days, I mean, we've seen it all the times islands have been played so far, is that players try to go for the back docks and try and, save their fish and then get to a faster castle age, go into longboats and all that stuff. But in a Viking mirror scenario, it's kind of like...
No fire galleys, obviously.
No fire galleys, so I think this should play out fairly similarly to those good old AOC...
Welcome back to 2010, ladies and gentlemen.
Seriously. All forward docks, just try and outmass your opponent with galleys early on, and just snowball an advantage that way. So for those of you who missed Masters of Islands, here's your chance to see.
This is how it's done.
This is indeed how it's done. And yeah, I think that even backdocking with the generation here is pretty bad for both players. So I would be very surprised if it was anything other than just trying to nail that early execution and then just go for those galley micro scenarios. In both of those things, I would favor Hera. And
looking at the map generation here now, just to kind of break it down a little bit, I'm really liking the look of these 2 gold spots right in the middle here on the island. So whoever kind of gets the water advantage here going to be a huge position of advantage once it kind of comes into the later stages of the game. But both players...
This game's going to make it to Imperial Age?
You don't know that. Maybe it will. I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful. Have you met me?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We're going to game 5, and I said it.
You certainly are the optimist of the two of us. No, I do think that, indeed, the gold, pretty sure islands these days always spawns with 2 sets of 3 gold on one island and 2 tiles of stone on another. So yes, that can be super important if the game goes long. And we have seen plenty of Long Island games. Long Island, like in New York, I guess.
Like the drink.
That's also a thing.
That is the thing.
But because it is specifically a Viking mirror, ironically, when the two most, when it's the most defensive passive civ in early game water, if they go against each other, it then just flips on its head and becomes like the most aggressive water matchup by far.
Exactly. Every player is looking for that single galley snipe they can get, every single little bit that will put them an edge ahead of their opponent here. And this is... Do you think either player, because Hera's been around for a while now, Vilese's been around for as long as I can kind of think of at the moment, do you think either of them will have a little bit of an advantage here because of the way, or the older playstyle used to be?
Well, Hera's been around for a while, but he's only been playing not Arabia for like...
You're right, there was a stage there through like 2010 through like 2013 where it was Huns Arabia only.
Yeah, so I don't think Hera's going to have a ton of experience with a bunch of galley wars. Villese, I'm not too sure about. We'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, it is going to come down to execution. We see both players with some pretty decent dock locations, both at the front, as we predicted. This is going to feel like a classic AOC Vikings mirror, 100%. And it's really going to come down to, okay, do I have a 15-second faster cast or feudal age time? Then I have just a massive advantage going into these fights, because the thing with water maps, guys, is there's nowhere you can run. I mean, I guess you sail away, but eventually you'll be caught and killed. And yeah, now we have everybody luring the boars with their scouts, because unlike all the other island games we've been seeing, this one is very unlikely to feature a landing.
I'll be very surprised if we get a landing in here. Even just a mind game landing, they are not going to have time to build that single transport ship the way this is going to play out. It's going to be about getting maximum efficiency across maximum amount of docks that you can have at the time. And the winner will pretty much be dictated by the idea that you just have more units.
That is how it works when you have... You remember at the end of the last game when Hera had more units than Villese?
I do.
That was the winning move right there. The best way to win the game is to beat your opponent. pro AoE 2
That's
advice.
It. All that they need to do right now is transition into victory.
Oh yeah.
And they'll have this.
Easy game. So something I actually do want to point out is that this fish is really nice here for Villese, just right next to the dock. Super efficient ships right there. Even though it's not at all bad for Hera, he just has to sail a little bit further.
Just a little bit. We will start seeing that dock spam come up as well, so it will make things very, very easy for the fishing ships. But how are we looking here as well? Hera on his way to feudal age.
Around 5% faster than is Villese. Is that enough of a difference to really matter? I don't think so, but if you have to favor anyone's position, it is actually Hera's right now, just because he is 5% faster up to feudal age.
That's it. We're seeing basically identical plays here overall. Both players on 24 villages. How many have we got? 4 fishing ships from both players as well, so very, very even. In fact, exactly even.
It is very even. Thanos would be approving this game.
We do have the second dock already up for Villese, however. Dock only just starting to finish up now for Hera.
And yeah, nothing is going to be deviating from these guys' playstyles. With the Viking mirror, there is one thing that you can do, and it is just about doing that exact one thing better than your opponent, which is why people either really love it or really hate it.
That's it. It really does test the mechanics in terms of what you know, in terms of the build, the way you want to lay out your base. So from there, it's basically just a matter of getting the galley micro on point, and whoever wins, wins.
Exactly. It's one of those scenarios where the mechanical aspect of the game is much more important compared to the strategic aspect of the game, whereas, other maps, other settings...
Hera, cue you galleys.
The strategic is more important. Oh man, galleys queued up almost instantaneously. Third dock going to be on the way for both players. This is definitely something that we have seen before. No villagers gathering from food for either player, just letting these poor water buffalo rot under their town centers, because you can support villager production with only the 4 fishing ships. And yeah, it is going to be that big early water fight, and it's going to come down to micro. And remember, guys, galleys snipe fishing ships so much faster than fire galleys, and just sniping those occasional units and not getting housed, ideally.
Oof. Yep.
Okay, it's only going to be for a few seconds, but every second does matter here, and we'll have to see if Hera can make something happen.
Galleys are out a little bit quicker here for Hera. Looks like he is going to move across the map, start to try and get some aggression on here. But the two galleys, of course, Villese going to have a little bit of an advantage here, just being the defending player. Will be able to reinforce a lot quicker. And here comes the dance, guys. This is something that was extremely famous back in the day in terms of, because every water map essentially was this playstyle. It was galleys versus galleys. If you had better galley micro, you just had such an advantage on water. It was crazy.
Yep, and you can see that, again, defender's advantage did favor Villese just a little bit there. And this is definitely a situation where you want to, you know, select both players' armies just to see the HP differentials. But a little bit more production here for Hera, having that slightly faster uptime. But Hera idled his TC for a little bit, so not super ideal. But still, 0 kills, 0 deaths for each player. All things are at normal right now, but is Hera going to go for some fishing ship snipes?
He's got one, and he's actually got a blacksmith up behind this as well.
Yeah, and remember, guys, it takes 6 galleys to one-shot fishing ships, so with 3 galleys, you 2-shot fishing ships, and that's...
Math.
Math. I'm not good at math, but I can do that much. And indeed, as you were saying, Hera will be having the faster fletching upgrade, and getting those 2 snipes onto the fishing ships is just so good for him, because it means that likely Villese will have to add in villagers gathering food at home faster, and yeah, I mean, there's just no sort of mitigating advantage in return that Villese is getting.
Ooh, looks like Hera did overstep there in top of his opponent's galley, so he will lose 2 for pretty much free there. And then Villese getting his group together, so he will be able to push out of this as well.
That was actually a pretty massive micro slip up there from Hera. He lost, what, 4 galleys right there? Yeah, that's not ideal. Now it's going to be Villese trying to make the advantage happen, but remember, Hera does have fletching, Villese does not, so Villese just has to get in close, and Hera can try and, you know, dance away, but Villese is actually being able to get in close, but now we're, you know, the shoe is on the other foot, as they say, and...
The one tile does make a huge difference in terms of the kiting and your abilities there as well. Hera's starting to drop down a 4th dock behind this as well. We still do only have 3 for Villese as well.
Yep, and now fletching is on the way for our red player as well. Hera, though, with that 2 fishing ship advantage. Villese still with the numerical military advantage, so maybe if Villese is going to make something happen, it needs to be once he gets fletching. You can see that both players just now going on to forage bushes, because eventually you do need to start banking up food to make it to Castle Age.
Which again is one of those things, if you can get to Castle Age a fraction of a second quicker, get your War Galley upgrade and force the engagement, that's again just something that's going to absolutely change the game, knock it on its head essentially.
Same thing with getting the ballistics upgrade. It can just be such a big difference maker. But here we go, guys. Big fight is underway. I'm pretty sure that Villese has more here, but Hera's had some nice micro.
Hey, the problem is here that I'm running into is Hera's microing this really, really well. Villese's playing so safe though.
He's playing very, very safe, sniping a couple reinforcing galleys, and the numbers are actually so in favor of Villese. Has Hera gone a little bit too far in terms of trying to just snipe any random enemy ships, and these reinforcements not being garrisoned in the dock has just allowed Villese to take these really nice fights.
That's it, it's just these little slip-ups. Villese just continues to reinforce this one. We've got 12 military on field for Villese, only 7 for Hera, and again, Hera not garrisoning those ships in the docks. It does just mean Villese every now and then is just getting that random kind of bonus where he goes, oh cool, a free ship for me. And that's everything in this game. Everything right now.
Oh yeah, like it is these, like we say that there are like these little minor differences that can make the difference in it, you know, in a game, but it's like everything is so exacerbated on Viking Emir on a water map, and that is exactly what we're seeing here. And now, despite getting those early fishing ship kills, the actual, you know, combat fighting thing, whatever, between the two players has favored Villese. And I think a lot of it came down to this really disastrous fight for Hera, like right here.
Many ships at the bottom of the ocean right there. And I guess
this
the other thing to look at...
a channel.
A channel?
It's a channel, not the ocean. This over here would be the open ocean. Know your geography terms.
I come from Australia. We have no idea what geography is.
He said that to the American. Come on.
So the other really big thing to look at here as well is the fact that we've got Villese only on the 3 docks.
Yeah,
so Hera will begin to start out producing him. But it's just a matter of making sure all those reinforcements don't just get sniped as they kind of continue going.
Yep, and Hera does have all docks going. Everyone trying to produce as many units as they can. Like checking a quick look at the resource banks, Villese actually has a decent bank. I guess that just comes from not building the 4th dock and I guess maybe having to go onto food earlier because of it, but he is going to be getting a bit closer to Castle Age. Not too sure what the pause is all about, but we will hopefully get that sorted out pretty soon.
Exactly. There has been words exchanged with Nili, and we can see OverlayGuy and Nili are on top of this as well. I'll just like to say for the chat as well, OverlayGuy has said he will do an interview on camera if we hit 10k donations.
Oh, what a sellout. Full sellout.
I know, right? It's kind of his way of, I guess, of going, yeah, all right, but no.
Yeah, no,
maybe not.
Classic OverlayGuy.
Classic OverlayGuy.
But
so,
honestly, like, just from yesterday to today, there have been, like, Nili and OverlayGuy and just everyone have been working so hard to improve on all the technical problems from yesterday, which, you know, we're definitely there, but we still, I think, managed to, you know, put on a good show.
Yeah.
And I was really glad that we've been able to even just make all of these improvements, like with the double player POV and having us with access to all of the information here.
Yeah, it's one of those things. NAC every year, it's just gone further and further in terms of what we can do with it. And it's a reason we're trying to really kind of push the POV quite a bit more this day, just because, one, we have the due for it, and two, at the same time, it's one of those things where it's very, very rare. You can actually see the POV, you can see the micro behind everything. So we're trying to show off a little bit of that. Hopefully it doesn't kind of pull you out of the game too much, and you kind of can't get the big sense. But just in these fights where little things are going on, or there's not too much for us really to be showing off, we're trying to really show you the speed, the accuracy that these players have. And it's one of those things, like when you look at DauT, he just makes such precise clicks. Whereas then you have other people that are just kind of all over the place. I don't mean that in a way where they're not achieving anything, but DauT just knows exactly what he's trying to execute, and you can see that very, very quickly.
Yep, you can see the 2 gears just turning as they go 1 click, 1 click. Okay, just make more villagers. Just, you know, take good trades.
That's it. Just play well.
Yeah.
Do the math.
Make more creposts.
Yeah, more creposts. Just keep encircling him. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, you'll get there eventually. No, it's really just a treat to get to watch these guys play, as they're playing at such a high level. And I have to say, like, we've had a lot of really good games so far.
And it looks like headphones are going back on, so we should be just about back into the match here, guys. And
okay,
all good. Players were just saying there might have been some small lag on their end, and they wanted to get into that. Where the micro fights are this intense, and they need to be at their best for it, makes perfect sense.
Yeah. First fishing ship of Hera's is going down. Remember, guys, Villese has a really big lead in the military numbers at this point. That's going to be 2 fishing ships down, and oh no, I would not want to be a fisher right now in Hera's Empire, as these guys are being sent right to the bottom of the shoreline. No, this is clearly on open water.
But this is the big thing here. Villese had such an advantage in terms of the number count there that he could chase off Hera's galleys and at the same time just snipe down the fishing ships without needing to really worry about it too much. Hera could get caught out of position here as well, so needs to be very, very careful. Have we seen Villese still sitting on 3 dock at this stage? Looks like we might just see the 4th one start to get dropped down about now. Nope, it's palisade walls. Interesting.
Maybe he's thinking Hera's going to be going for a landing because Villese does have a nice edge on the water.
He believes he's already won the water. That's cute. I love it.
No, not quite yet. He's in a very good spot, though, and unfortunately for Hera, the Forage Bush villagers are very, very exposed, and they're going to have to go right into the town center, and that's going to be a really big problem as far as food income goes for Hera, and that's going to really slow down his castle age time. He's just seeding 2 more farms. He had 2 farmers and 1 fishing ship that was gathering from shorefish, or rather box turtles, so that is actually probably making a big difference. Villese just about to click up. Hera, never mind, he's actually also just about to click up. Just
very, very even. We do have a small military advantage in terms of 4 ships or 5 ships. No, going down to 3 ships now, because Hera did, of course, have that extra dock up that's been up and running a little bit longer at this stage. So he is starting to recover in terms of numbers. Had started garrisoning his docks as well, so he's not having any of those little ones get picked out and then any damage from there.
Yeah, I just realized that, yes, there was the food problem for Hera, but he didn't have a market, so he had a lot of gold, so he's able to just, I think, buy his way up to Castle Age. And now, Hera has been taking a few better trades here and there. The military count is now very similar. Hera finally garrisoning the galleys inside these docks. How many are in these docks, actually? 2, 3, 2, 2. So I do actually kind of like the idea of, trying to get the docks down. But still, you don't want to lose your fishing ships, you don't want to lose control, and there is dock number 4 for
Villese actually starting to throw in some more fishing ships into the mix here as well. Look, a little bit of a worry just because he could get out popped pretty quickly behind this as well. Kind of signaling that he does want that higher food income back so he can do a little bit more with his villagers, move them away from the forage bushes, get them onto gold, wood, something that needs a little bit more to keep that galley production up. But at the same time, it could just be a little bit too much of a commitment because he's given Hera the chance now. 18 to 18 military, we're back at even.
Indeed, and might come down to Castle Age times where, again, we do see Villese a little bit faster. Another big galley fight is potentially underway here. It looks like the numbers are pretty even, so it's going to come down to micro. It's going to be very important for both of these players. Fishing ships also are right here if Hera wanted to go for those snipes. But if Villese can hold on to at least good military numbers before Castle Age, well, in time for Castle Age, then that could just be the huge difference maker with Bodkin and War Galley.
And the question is, we're about to see Villese hit into Castle. Castle is in. Does Hera run, or does he try and get the snipes? It looks like both of them have actually trying to withdraw. We've actually seen Villese actually withdraw from the fight here as well. Wants to make sure he can get all the bonuses in he can, and then from there, push it into the next set.
I'm kind of surprised Villese is sending all the galleys up that way. Maybe he just wants to snipe these 4 galleys in the back of Hera's. But yeah, these fishing ships are actually very exposed, and if Hera happened to send his galleys this way at that time, like, 2 or 3 galleys or fishing ships could have been sniped at that point. But now we're back to the double POV as dock number 5 is now on the way for Mr. Hera. And yeah, it's going to be coming down to the big War Galley fight. Can Villese force an engagement before Hera's upgrades are in?
All right, so here comes the micro fight with the galleys as well. We've got double POV up so you can see exactly what's going on and how much actually goes into this in terms of the exact micro. Trying to stay on top of each other's galleys, not too far away. Big thing as well when they're moving them, trying to make sure that they try and keep them as open face as possible, get as many shots out as they can without kind of running behind everything.
Yep, and remember, guys, Hera has 1 additional dock compared to Villese. He has the numbers advantage, and with War Galleys, the micro then becomes a lot harder because I think the bolts travel faster or something. I feel like War Galleys, I don't know, they hit each other more. And yeah, this actually could be a huge problem for Villese as he's trying to sail away right now with his warships, but now some of his fishing ships are getting sniped, and okay, he's going for ballistics. That could be a big difference maker, as once you get ballistics, then your opponent really can't run away from your harpoons or whatever you're shooting at the other ships. But again, your bolts. Yes, my bad. And yeah, but still, Hera has the numbers advantage. Some of these guys are going to be in transit to the fight, but I feel like Hera is just not having to like stop and back up as much as Villese is, and he's just getting way more shots. And you can see these.
It adds up so quickly. It
adds up real fast. Like those numbers used to be like 2 in favor of Hera, now it's 8 in favor.
And ballistics is already done as well for Hera. We do have it coming in pretty quickly from Villese as well. But the thing is, Villese can't run now. He can't get out of the engagement without losing a lot more ships.
Yeah, this is honestly GG. Like, I hate to be the buzzkill, but I don't think there is any way you can come back in this scenario. Like, what could you do as Villese to actually, like, beat your opponent when they both have ballistics and you both have the same exact, like, armies you can work with?
I've got an extra town center getting thrown down for Villese as well, so I guess he's going to try and the eco approach behind this. I'm waiting to see if I see a transport ship or anything here, just to try and, you know, at least give him a shot at it. But the problem is, once you've lost water, especially on a map like this, the islands just are so small that you can just basically put the galleys around the edge, and it's just all the extra just the firepower you need.
Yep, docks are under heavy fire, literally. They're on fire. Hera, I mean, he nominally only has like 2 more villagers. Villese is adding in that additional town center, but it's a matter of to what end. Like, okay,
what can he achieve?
He's going for the transport ship. What is he going to transport over?
I mean, which dock is he building the transport at as well?
Good question.
Because so many of them are just under fire now entirely. I'm guessing it's that one a little bit further up towards the north.
But what's he going to do? Send the transport ship all the way around? Like, that's going to take forever.
He's got a garrison marker to the other side of the island as well, so I guess that's exactly what he's trying to do here. Going to get it to the other side of the island, try and garrison up with some villages, I guess, and make it around. But look at this. Hera's already scouting his island as well. Villese's got some ships around the back there, just trying to pick any villages he can, kind of try and worm his way back into the fight, but 33 to 13 right now. It does not make things easy.
No, and if you can't get this landing off, like, okay, so Hera's 1 water, right? So
yes.
He doesn't have to... yeah.
Definitive yes.
Definitive edition, yes. So he doesn't really have to worry about having all of his warships right here at these docks, because you know he'll be able to pick off any reinforcements. So what you can do at that point is just patrol your war galleys around your own island and make sure that you don't... randomly lose anything. Look at this pincer movement here from Hera. Slowly but steadily means all of these warships will eventually go down. I think they were looking for some fishing ship kills, but I think they actually probably got them, as Villese is a little bit ahead in terms of economy, but it's the military numbers, right? Like, how is Hera going to ever fight back on the water with numbers?
Yeah, Villese just is in so much trouble right now. He has got that transport ship in the back of his base right now, but he's losing all his galleys. He doesn't even have a distraction to really sneak it across. The only reason it's going to get across to the other island at the moment is one luck, 2, Hera's kind of just going, all right, I got this, it's fine. He's just kind of chilling out. So at this stage, and even then, he's not even actually garrisoning it. I think he might be ready to say this might just about be the game.
Well, he's sending 3 villagers and a scout. That's, does he have barracks? Like, no, he's just going to go with siege workshop. Oh, is he going for a castle drop? He's gathering a lot of stone, but he's nowhere near a castle now.
But here comes a scout from Hera right on the side of the island. He knows something like this has to be coming. It's the only reason you wouldn't resign at this point.
Yep.
It's been seen. GG
that
should be any second
GG.
now.
Land!
But at the same time, it is the last game in the series here. Both players, of course, not going to resign until they know it's well and truly over. Something we've definitely seen a lot from the Finns as well. If they think they've got a shot, they'll stick in it for a little bit longer kind of thing. But we're very, very close to closing this one out.
It is 28 military to 2.
To 2? 2. Single digit.
Yeah. Like, again, yeah, the economy of Villese is nice with all of these farms and whatnot, but it's like, to what end? Like, how are you ever going to be able to get docks up and get a bunch of, like, longboats or whatever?
All I can think of is the fact that he's got so many villages on stone, could potentially be going for a castle, get some docks up around that, and then try and repop up behind that, because he's got a lot of gold in the bank. So he can actually start getting some galley numbers out, but the problem is, how do you start to mass up from that? And then Hera, what are we looking at in terms of resources? Well, he's got 1,200 gold in the bank.
Yeah, he can click up to him pretty soon himself. He did go up to the 3 TCs as well. Even has a monastery to start collecting some of the relics. So what happens then is, by the time that, like, a castle could go up, and then a bunch of docks could be made, and galley numbers could start to increase here for Villese, Hera will be an Imperial Age and have cannon galleons.
Exactly. It just makes it so hard to begin to deal with. And at the same point as well, if you actually check out Villese's island as well, Hera's pretty much began that kind of constricting style of gameplay, just putting galleys around the shore, just making sure no docks are coming up, and then if the castle does try to go down, bring all the galleys to that point, try and kill off the villages, and deny any potential hope as well.
Yep, exactly. Villese is faster to Imperial Age by 3%. It's not going to make a difference, and maybe it's going to be GG when he sees his opponent is just behind him to Imperial Age. I would recommend Hera to get Bowsaw earlier than the 33-minute mark on a water map. I mean, I know AM players and eco upgrades, but this is one I'm pretty adamant about.
Hera is preparing a landing of his own as well. He's got a transport ship, 5 villages he's ready to move across, because he's got so many galleys around top of Vilese's base as well. He can pretty much just land those villages relatively safely, and then he will just be good to do pretty much whatever he wants. Like you were saying, Imperial's on the way for both players at the moment, but it might be one of those Imperial GG moments.
Yeah, I think that might be the case. I'm not quite sure what Hera is going to land or make with those landed villagers. Doesn't have even a barracks, but I guess it could just be for buying a castle or something.
Alright, castle is starting to go up from Villese here as well towards the west of his island. Hera already spotted it, of course, with the galleys, and we can start seeing, hopefully all the galleys should get pulled around there. Siege workshop getting thrown up for Hera as well on top of Vilese's island. And this castle actually might just go up. It's not being contested.
Yeah, the castle might go up, but it's not really the end of the world.
But then what?
Like, then you have to build the docks, then you have to get the upgrades, then you have to make the units. and all the while somehow pretend that your opponent can't do the exact same thing better.
That's it. Same timing. We can see Hera still investing in war galleys as well, keeping his count up on the ocean. He has got some battering rams now coming from these siege workshops as well, throwing a second one up behind this. But look at this, Villese powering up 4 docks right next to his castle. It's a big ask to get back onto the water now, but he's going to really give it a shot.
He will give it a shot, and Hera will give it 31 more shots. Now 35 more shots. Instantly getting careening. Yeah, I mean, now that both players are Imperial Age, should be seeing Bracer, Chemistry, Galleon, all that good stuff on the way for Mr. Hera. Once Chemistry is complete at that point, you can go for Cannon Galleons to really put the nail in the coffin. And I just have to say, I love this from Hera, just having 1 or 2 war galleys just all around the island of his opponent.
It just denies so much potential resource as well. He's essentially starving his opponent at this stage. What can Villese really do to kind of push in back from this? We've got Hera going for battering rams, and then behind that as well, even going for the cap ram upgrade. He's getting his Galleon upgrade as well. But look at this, Villese trying to get out those elite longboats.
I mean, yeah, longboats are good, but
are they that good?
Are they 10 to 1 as good? No. Yeah, that's probably not going to be too
And with
successful.
that extra range on the Galleons now, say goodbye to even more of your island.
Yeah, exactly. You'll just have so little space with which to work. No more stone can be gathered. The gold is going to be in jeopardy soon, likely. And, I mean, you can try, but we don't even have Bracer Chemistry. Well, Chemistry's on the way.
Hera even putting down a castle here in the middle as well, on top of this gold island, securing that for later. Just in case Villese has something up his sleeve at this point. He is starting to move out with his longboats as well, and I guess this is the only thing when all your units are kind of scattered out across the map around, that you can start kind of picking off a couple there, but all it takes is 1 second for Hera to put all his units back together, and then there's no way you can really fight it.
Feels bad, man, on the longboat.
Does feel bad. And Hera as well, just throwing up more and more docks behind this. He's not losing the advantage he's got.
Well, Hera knows what he needs to do to maintain his advantage and win the game. Like, that is definitely something that you do have to commend him on, as, you know, it's like we're saying that this game is totally over, but, like, that's with the assumption that Hera does everything that he's supposed to, and to be fair, it's not, you know, the most obvious thing in the world to do everything that you're supposed to.
Yeah.
So you definitely do have to give him credit for that, but yeah, it is really, really, really over.
That's it. And for Villese as well, like, just hanging in there, try and take every advantage you can. When it's a best of 5 and it's the last game, absolutely, give it every single chance you have to kind of come back into it. But at the same time, it's just starting to look like there's so little hope for him here.
There's no hope, man. He's getting a Trev and he's working down a house.
Yeah, pad those stats.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, it's going to put Hera from 200 population max to 195.
What's he going to do with all that
he's going
pop?
for the 190 play. Oh, man. Like, I don't know. Like, honestly, Hera should probably be getting, like, a Cannon Galleon upgrade by now, just to, you know, snipe these castles and whatnot, but...
Like, it looks like he's preparing another landing as well.
Yeah,
those Galleons around the edges, just starting to just take down everything they kind of can. He really just needs to kind of crush this main longbow force, and then it's done.
Okay, honestly, Hera has been...
Passive.
He's been a little too passive, and he's been hemorrhaging units. Okay.
Alright, so remember when it was like a 1 to 10? Or a 1 to 4
Yeah.
in terms of that? It's now like...
No,
it
was a 1 to 10. It was 40 military to 4.
40, so a 1 to 10 advantage. Villese is starting to climb this one back up.
Oh my!
This is so wrong. This is so wrong.
This should not happen. Yeah, like I said, the fact that the game was over was predicated on the idea that
Hera's split his army up too.
Yeah, Hera's like his army is still split up, or his navy rather, but same idea. 23, 24 galleons, 13 longboats.
What are you doing, Villese? You're playing like a madman.
I mean, like, Villese is doing everything right now, and...
But there's only so much you can do.
There is only so much you can do. These longboats are heavily outgunned over here on both sides, actually. Well, actually, on the left-hand side, it's pretty even. And longboats, I'm pretty sure, do beat galleons, you know, cost, or pound for pound. But, I mean, it's still a 20 military advantage for Hera. He's trebbing down all these random buildings of his opponents.
And that's it. It's getting to a point where there's nearly no wood that's safe for Villese left to take as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Hera is not like...
Oh, landing the berserks.
Oh, man. Time to get your capes out. Not Teuton capes, but the next best thing. Got some Berserk's capes.
Hey, but look at them shields. That's some very classic Viking shield.
That is indeed the classic Viking shield. And, well, they can kill villagers pretty well, I hear.
So that's it. How do you begin to fight this as well? He's got no land army whatsoever. He's dwindling in terms of resource. He does actually have about 500 gold in the bank, but he just has nowhere near the same amount of pop overall.
Turk, look at this fight in the channel.
In the channel?
Where Hera is just completely surrounding the smaller navy of Villese, and that should be the killing blow, and indeed it is. Hera will take this series 3-1 over Villese.
Villese putting in a huge effort there. There was literally seconds of that game where we're like, maybe he's starting to come back.
Like when I saw like all those longboats take a good fight against the guys, like, wait a minute.
Yeah, this is going way too well
like,
for what this is.
This shouldn't be happening, but no. No, Hera able to keep it together.
Close the lid on it.
Indeed, and that is going to be a nice bit of confidence boost for him. Obviously having the better KD, no big surprise. Largest army obviously being just something that Villese couldn't come back from. And yeah, that will be the win to Mr. Hera. And
congratulations. I guess you're off to do an interview, sir.
I guess I am off to do an interview. I will also be casting with Hera later today. So this
that's going to be exciting, actually.
That should be a lot of fun.
Ask him about how, like, plumed archers are really expensive.
Oh, come on. You know me, Turk. I got this covered. So, I guess whenever we are ready, I am good to go for doing the interview. And so, yeah.
Well, you know what? You get over there.
Yeah, okay.
I'll be a one-man show for a minute.
Yeah, you do that.
All right, so we're wrapping up game number 1 of day 2. Still so many more days to come after this. We still are in the Swiss stage as well, so we will have 3 more matches left today between players. Mr. Yo and DauT up next. Behind that, we'll have TheViper versus Liereyy, a series and a repeat that everyone's been waiting for a long time. Last year, we actually had Liereyy beat TheViper over NAC in terms of the Swiss stage, and even earlier in the year, or last year again, I keep forgetting it's 2020, we did actually have Liereyy beat TheViper in a 1v1 at ECL. Behind that, we will have TaToH versus TheMax to wrap up the day in terms of the best of 5 as well. Hope you're all enjoying the show, guys. Hope you're enjoying the POVs as well. Probably one of the only tournaments we've ever had, apart from ACL, I believe, off the top of my head, where we actually did have access to the POVs in real time as well. And I hope you find it absolutely amazing how good these players are, how quick they are, and the way they actually begin to deal with everything. Hopefully we should just be a couple of minutes away now from an OrnLu interview with our Victor Hera. But apart from that, guys, hope everything's going well. We hope to see you here for the rest of the day as well. Make sure to drop those subs, all that kind of things. Nili put so much effort into this, and there's so many things at play here as well. So thank you so much, everyone, and I guess, I don't know. Good times, really. Good times from here. Show us the chat, OverlayGuy. And also, so let's see what's going on in the chat while we're waiting, guys. What do we got? I'm seeing some hearts, so sending the hearts back to everyone as well. And we'll drop in one of those ones as well, because I know people have been asking for the hair flip as well. So that's in there, guys. Get used to it. But no, absolutely amazing series. We couldn't have been happy. Casting with OrnLu as well, always an absolute pleasure, especially in a situation like this. We've got such a good setup. We're all so happy to see what Age of Empires is now. I'm seeing a lot of scenes switch very, very quickly. So we will be over to OrnLu on the couch there in a second. He will be doing a winner's interview with Hera as well. I'm sure he has a lot to talk about, which is fantastic. And yeah, thanks, guys. No, it's been fantastic games. All I was doing was putting a little bit of voice over it, so you had something else to be a little bit more, I guess just something a little bit more ear candy. What do we got? All right, sorry, I'm into the chat now so I can read everything. What's going on, guys? Are you enjoying NAC 3? That's the real question. Are you enjoying it? What are you loving? Do you love the POVs? So casting, OrnLu and I are in the same room. Players are actually over a room as well. Behind us can't actually hear us. Dun, 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 dun. So OrnLu was actually spectating that. So we actually have 2 spectator PCs. One of those is the main ones. So you'll be getting one person's point of view. Am I going to go eat barbecue? I hope so. There's actually like a place in Hamburg, because we had to go get hamburgers in Hamburg. So there's actually one place we traditionally try and go to every NAC to get ourselves a good Hamburg. So we'll go, Turk, who do you think the best player is and why is it DauT? It's DauT because he's DauT. It's the only way, right? All right, I think we're just about ready for the interviews as well. Any other questions we can see? There we go. There's a cute one we have to drop from the get-go. Anyone who saw NAC last year would remember that one. Why is my name Turkman? My last name is Turk. You can figure out the rest from there, essentially. And it looks like we're sending over for the winners interview now. We have OrnLu and Hera 3-1 versus Villese. We'll see you in just a minute, guys.
Today we'll be interviewing Hera.
Except it's Nili's house, so it's good morning, Hippo. Oh, we're ready?
All right. We are here for the interview with Hera.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Already off to a great start.
Yes.
So how are you feeling after that win?
Not too bad. I think I still can improve a few things.
Would you like to win Arabia this tournament?
Yeah, that would be nice, actually. And people say I'm an Arabia player, too.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, I don't know what's going on. But I think it was smoother than yesterday.
Yeah, certainly. I think overall your play seemed pretty solid and smooth across the board. I do have to start with game number 1, which you did not win.
Yeah.
What was the rationale behind going for like the Castle Age and then just the 2 range Cav Archer while trying to get up to the huge room? Didn't that seem like really greedy?
Well, like the thing is, I was full wall, so I didn't have to make any feudal army, which is fine. But then as soon as I saw skirmishers, I was debating. I said, should I drop a stable? But then I was like, no, that's 175 wood. I make TC instead, okay? And then I thought like Cav Archers should clean it. It's feudal skirms, right? Then I couldn't clean them.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I got to Castle Age, I was just okay, I'm dead.
Well, I guess it's just Cav Archers with only, what was it, +2? No
Yeah.
bloodlines or anything. Like
Yeah.
And if the skirmishers can close the gap, then...
And had only 2 ranges as well. So
yeah, exactly.
Like the correct play would be either go open stable, like if I expect the skirms, or when I see the skirms, I just drop a stable and then delay the TC, because delaying a TC by 1 minute doesn't change anything, but leaving those skirms alive does.
And I think as the longer Castle Age progresses, the more Cav Archers you can get to, the better and better position you're going to be in.
Yeah, right. I don't have to rush into like a massive Cav Archers at halftime. I just need to not lose my gold.
Yeah,
too much.
Yeah, that definitely was a problem. But still, lost game number 1, it wasn't, that bad. Game number 2, you played another match on Arabia, because that's what Valley is right now.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's just Arabia again. And what was with the Aztec pick there? Because we've been seeing a lot of Chinese on that map.
Yeah.
With Villese in that game.
Well, like, thing is, you have to play Chinese on Red Set Fortress, because if not, you're stuck with Mayans, and they're useless. So, yeah, I went to Aztecs. I had also other option of, like, I don't know, Persians, if you like those. But Aztecs was just really smooth. They're always a top 3 Arabia step, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so I just saved Chinese for Red Set Fortress, pretty much.
And then it was just like, play Aztecs on Arabia. They're good on Arabia. I mean, it seemed like a pretty normal Aztec game plan. And then with the early Imp and then Elite Eagle Warriors, that seemed to be the nail in the coffin, right?
Yeah, he had forward gold, so it's like, when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is like aggressive game. I went forward siege. He actually did a really good defense, so I have to say, like,
yeah.
I got no good hits in Castle Age. He played really solid that game. But I think like just making the tower delays you too much.
Yeah. And that's something that actually TheMax did as well in his series yesterday, was he was very consistently going for the tower. In some games it paid off, and in some games it didn't. So I guess it's just like a stylistic thing that the Finns are doing.
To be honest, on some maps it's a necessary evil. Like, if you don't do it, you lose. And if you do it, then you lose in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, so... I think overall the tower helped him a lot, especially when you upgrade to the guard tower. But of course, that slows down your boom a lot.
Yeah, definitely. You were like, I think, 10 villagers or so ahead the entire mid game, and with Aztecs, that's certainly going to transition to the faster Imperial Age net.
Yeah, like as soon as I get in before him, it's game.
Yeah, definitely. So, moving on to game 3, would you like to point out that Mayan plumed archers cost more?
Yeah, plumes are useless. As soon as we launched the game, Chinese mains, I'm like, GG, let's go next.
GG.
Like, bro, the Villese made 5 plumes in Castle just to raid, as you do, delayed his imp by 20 minutes. Like,
well,
the unit's too expensive.
No, you put down extra TCs as soon as you hit Castle Age. He did not. He went for like one TC and then another TC, but like not instantly. So you were a good like 6 or 7 villagers ahead.
Well, that's because Chinese starts with an extra 3. Like,
well, yes.
OverlayGuy's extra 2.
Extra 1?
No, 3. They have an extra 1 as well.
Oh, I thought you said,
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, you definitely had the stronger economy. And what amazed me was like you had such a huge bank going into like mid-imperial age that unlike normal like Chinese versus Mayans where the Mayan player will have less villagers because their army's cheaper.
Yeah.
Like you had like 80...
The army is not cheaper, by the way.
Sorry.
No, plumes are like trebs now. They cost.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Not quite bombard cannon level expensive.
No, but
just treb expense.
Exactly.
Okay, that's cool. So, but still, like you as Chinese were like banking up like several K of all the important resources, and then we're able to get to that huge Chinese death ball.
Yeah.
And do you think that it was just a matter of Chinese have the stronger late game army than Mayans?
Yeah, I had 3 relics, and I had light cav, and he has expensive plumes. So it's, there's no competition. I think once the gold runs out in that matchup, I think like honestly that game was probably his best though because, probably his best because he stalled. Like I was imp like 5 minutes earlier. I'm talking like Imperial Age.
Yeah.
I was in 5 minutes earlier, and then I still wasn't able to do damage. But I think that's because I was stubborn down the center.
Yeah.
If I had moved around the side earlier, it would have been a different game.
Yeah, you were forcing the issue on the hill that had 2 castles on it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it is obviously good. If you take that, you kill the castles, stop their plume production, take a good position. But then I think you realize that the right side of his base was pretty open. But still, you got the win there and looked good. Going on to islands, I know you've been saying you've been practicing water maps, and obviously you have been. But what did you think going into like the pure water map Viking mirror situation?
I mean, like with the ranked map pool, indeed, there's obviously water maps. So I'm way more versatile of a player these days. And like I'm like the king of 2-hour highlands as well. Like back in the day, I was playing that like twice a day at minimum.
Oh, that was my map back in the day as well, back on the zone.
Well, no, I'm talking like first patch here. So,
yeah.
I had pretty good water experience, and I was super happy when I picked Vikings because then it was just going to be like galley micro. And I think I'm good at that. But then I started lagging halfway through.
Yeah, that's when the pause came in, right?
Yeah.
Because there was that weird fight that you just kind of lost a bunch of galleys, and that gave Villese like a pretty big lead on the water. But I think you were able to pull it back just by like adding those extra docks sooner. Like you had a 1 dock advantage over Villese for like most of the mid game, and that seemed to be like what would translate into getting that lead that eventually won you the game, right?
Yeah, the thing is, when the lag kicked in, I didn't realize at first because I thought I was just microing poorly. But it's a kind of lag that's like it slows down and then speeds up.
Yeah.
So basically, my galleys were stopping when I want them to, or like moving when I want them to be stopping and shooting, and then shooting when I want them to be moving. So I missed like 3 shots and took 3 shots for free, lost a few galleys. But like you said, I managed to pull it back somehow.
Just by I think outproducing. Oh yeah, question: why did neither of you make longboats?
Because they suck. Well, they suck compared to war galleys.
Like, is it just because they're more expensive?
Longboats usually just counter fire galleys, or if like you don't have the war galley upgrade. But if you have the war galley upgrade, you make those instead.
Should you just think they do better?
Yeah, I think so. Like they just work better. I don't know like the stats on them. They just like that's what Liereyy told me, to be honest. I don't know. Like
you trust Liereyy, the guy who thought that Hun trebs were 100% accurate.
The guy who hasn't lost a game in the tournament so far. So I don't know, man.
We'll have to see later. Yeah. We're casting that series.
Yeah. Oh, true.
Yeah. So, closing it out, you feel good about this win, I am sure. Who do you think you would want to face next?
Liereyy, because he's gonna lose the Viper today.
Oh yeah.
So then I want to play him.
Oh, that'll be the grudge match of the ages.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
and we sleep together in the same room. So.
Oh yeah.
Not together though, just in the same room. But Liereyy.
Yeah, sounds good. That would also be a very entertaining match. There's so many good matches here. So I think with that.
I didn't say anything, man. What? Lies.
Lies.
Liereyy was talking match set on the cast. I watched it back. All right, I think we're done here.
Yeah, I think we're done.
Okay.
Give me the microphone before you say something else, which embarrasses me.
Okay, guys, I have 2 treats prepared for you. Treat number 1, chat dialogue with DauT. So I wrote him 20 minutes ago a hippo emote. Nothing came back. I wrote him 14 minutes ago, DauT, time to set up. DauT writes, Nili, when are matches? I say, you're on in 15 minutes. We are waiting for you. Series is done. He writes, WTF 9 MG.
Can clearly see what he wanted there. He wanted to write there.
Okay, and now we have luckily some what? Yo should have been around here as well. Like Yo was already here.
Well.
Yeah. Okay. Apparently Yo went missing as well, but he was in the apartment like 20 minutes ago. So maybe it just went down. It's now coming up. We'll see. And well, we will have an interview with the best interviewer of them all.
Obviously.
You can take over. We will go and interview. Liereyy asks me questions.
Yeah, I don't know how this happened. Don't ask me how. Usually it's the host interviewing the people who play, you know. But now it's other way around.
Out here.
So yeah. I'm not even sure if I can top the interview last from yesterday, you know. Not gonna be easy, I'm telling you. People are always starting to laugh, man. Like, what is this? Alright, first question. Did you expect some technical issues like we have right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I knew that DE wasn't like 100% smooth. I knew we would have problems with the overlay or like the sound issues. And people asked me like, Nili, what would make you happy? And I said something I'm not expecting that would go completely like, would really show our preparation if we didn't have any technical issues on the first day.
No,
So I
it
expected
didn't work
them.
that well, but
Yeah, I think like the last 8 hours yesterday were pretty solid on our end.
yeah, I mean, so we did see some couple drops yesterday in some games. How are you planning to fix those? Or what are the plans for those if they continue happening?
It's completely out of our hands. We had people watching the games as well, and they had drops at the same time. So it's not on our end, and it's like I'm in contact with 2 Microsoft persons or Forgotten Empires, and they said they would try to do. Hello, DauT.
Were you scared for a moment?
I was very scared for a moment.
In time as always.
You know that initially we wanted to start series back to back. So you sit at the place, watch the series, and we can instantly start the next one.
Originally, I wouldn't have TaToH's germs all over me.
Okay. Yeah, DauT is still pretty sick. So it looks likely that we will still be very close to the schedule. It is scheduled to start in 9 minutes, and I think we can make that work. Yo and DauT both here and setting themselves up. Next question, Liereyy.
So now that you've already seen each player play a few games, what do you think the rankings are going to be after NAC?
After NAC, you mean at
the placings during NAC, like who's first, second, third, fourth, and etc.
Okay, I still have to go with Viper first. I think I haven't seen enough from you to really judge how you play.
Okay.
That's
Fair
like
enough.
I can take the show match into consideration.
Show match.
You played against Viper
yeah.
the weekend before. And then I think you and TaToH are the strong contenders to go into the semifinal or into the finals. The other guy will fall in the semifinals. I think it will come like who is trying to avoid Viper there, and I think the guy that gets second or first together with the Viper in the group stage is most likely going to the finals as well.
But is it guaranteed that Viper is going to be first or second?
No,
in
no,
group
no.
stage? Last
If
year
we
we
get
did already see some shenanigans.
That was
like
the
way.
NBL effect.
Yeah. Fucking NBL.
Completely screwed you over.
Yeah.
Having him
Well, in
play.
knowing it.
But you also screwed yourself over.
Nah,
Geppetto rushing this guy.
Man, look. I thought I was playing for nothing, man. And he thought so as well, so that's the worst part.
I don't count, I was drunk.
Yeah, well, that's better. Actually,
Luckily,
no
DauT
one
doesn't
hear
have a
that.
microphone.
Yeah.
What was
we
the
were
drops? The seeding.
fourth place,
Okay,
I believe.
then I think we will have the pack of Yo Max behind that, falling in the quarterfinals. I think Villese and LaaaN are going to be at the bottom, and then we have like the questionable DauT. Is he staying 7th? Is he making the jump into 6th?
Stop calling me questionable.
And so I will I know you always nail me down to go for something. I will say,
Of course, that's what you're here. That's what we're here for.
so the Max, Yo falling in the quarterfinals.
Okay.
Oh no, Hera. Hera is falling in the quarterfinals as well. I think Yo and TaToH Oh, I need all the names. That's so confusing. Okay, so let me say again. So it is Viper, TaToH final, or you in the final, the other guy falling in the semi-final, together with Yo. In the quarterfinals, so 5th and 6th will be Hera and TheMax. 7th, 8th, 9th is DauT, LaaaN, Villese.
Okay, pretty accurate. Yeah, some non-AOC.
DauT, don't listen to the interview,
questions
set stuff up. He's watching the stream.
Obviously, he wants to see my great interview. I can't blame him after yesterday. I mean, who doesn't want to see that?
What's going on? Laptop.
Laptop.
Ah, yeah, we already did it. Thanks.
They're the players.
Yeah, and the seating. Did you know that someone seated DauT at 9?
It was 8 players and someone seated DauT as 9.
Did you guys know on chat that you can now use Nili grass DauT as an emote? To
How much percent again for every time somebody uses that?
you get minus 10% every time someone uses the emote. And oh yeah, the chat is flying in there.
Oh,
Oh,
the spams actually.
great interview so far.
I know. I was actually preparing some questions till now. Now I'm improvising again. So yeah, what did I say? Man, I can't listen to myself, man. Keep that muted at least. He's opening the stream right now.
What do you need to show?
Oh, DauT also wants to spam his face.
Why it's not working?
Do you want to show the WhatsApp chat or
You need
what?
to subscribe first, I believe.
Ooh. Are you not to subscribe to me, DauT?
Don't forget to donate as well. You can also cheer nowadays. These old people, man, can't even use their phones. But yeah,
6,000 points for this message.
yeah, I wanted to ask some non-AOC related questions,
Uh-oh.
but I don't have any right now. Let me think. So yeah, I can just hear the DauT faces.
Well, look at the better version.
Let me think. I'll get some. So how did you prepare for NSC, like mentally, like physically?
Great non-AOE question. Physically or mentally?
I mean, we're still here for AOC, you know? Both.
Okay,
2 questions, yeah.
2 questions. Trying to stay hydrated.
Okay, makes
Trying
sense.
to sleep as much as possible because I obviously know this week, I know NSC 1 was super brutal. I slept like 2 hours every night. NSC 2 I slept like 2 hours twice per night. So I knew it's going to be rough, and so yeah, just sleeping 7-8 hours every night before was really important to me.
7, 8, 7, 9.
7-8.
7, 8, 9. Isn't that like too low on average? Don't you sleep usually more?
My sleeping rhythm is like 3 till 11, so 8 hours.
Such interesting customization.
Okay.
DauT, it's ticking. I don't see you in the game. 3 minutes left.
3 minutes.
Where's Yo? Well, if Yo loses money, you don't want to lose money as well.
Want to share losses?
He wants to share losses. And what's my preparation mentally and physically?
yeah.
Not too much. I actually didn't eat that healthy the days before.
Okay.
I was on a pretty clean trip. I would say throughout the full October, November, early December. But yeah, the week before was full fast food, ordering, or delivery stuff, and lots of energy drinks to really get the hours in.
When did you start preparing for NSC 3? Like when did you start working on all the setup and all the other stuff?
The night after NSC 2.
Really?
Yeah. I already made the schedule, the
During the NSC 2, you
was-
made the schedule for NSC 3, okay.
Honestly, I lay in bed and was still so overwhelmed, and I took a file and started to start the schedule on my file.
So you're planning NSC 4 right now?
Not yet. NSC 3 is
Oh,
nowhere.
yeah, true. So on the 13th,
Yeah.
everything goes right.
Yeah.
Okay. Leaking something here already?
That's the moment where you as the caster say, "Oh, Bamo, thanks for the 10 gifted subs."
Oh, 10 subs gifted, thank you. Don't forget to donate and cheer as well. So we players and casters and OverlayGuy get something as well. Don't forget. Okay, selling out as well. Confirmed. Something you have to ask.
I have to ask as the player, as the
No,
interview
but I was just curious if you have some questions for me.
for myself,
Not for me.
for you as an interviewer.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's obviously
which
the
interview
interview-
school did you go?
I was taught for myself.
Do you have a good book on how to do interviews?
No, I'll write. Maybe I'll write a book in the future. You know,
Okay, how many pages?
considering how good this is, 2 or 3. I mean, not gonna keep it that long. Doesn't really too much to say about it. It's just
Yeah, but-
natural talent, honestly.
But that's also a skill, right? If you want to say something, you don't need to go into too many pages. You can just get to the
improvise.
point. Yeah.
I have experience of improvising in AOC. Before games, after games, during games. You know.
What's the game you think you played the best? What's the most memorable game for you? You played?
in AOC?
Yeah.
I think it has to be either KOTD 1 or 2. Not the first games in both of those series, but some later games, I believe. I know I lost both of them. That's why I said not
Doubt's
all of
input.
them. Obviously, some I screwed up. Are you even set up yet?
Time is ticking. Dowdy, 1 minute.
You're gonna lose all your prize pool, man.
What do you think about this deal?
This Sif?
What is your map?
Oh, you don't know my map.
This Sif, man.
Interesting.
It's a new Sif.
Interesting. Oh, that will catch you off guard.
But yeah, I think my best game was probably. I mean, it's pretty hard because back then at KDD 1 and KDD 2, I was obviously prepared. Something you don't see too often nowadays anymore. And I was also in top shape, so obviously the map was only Arabia, so it wasn't like too hard to think about too much. It's only Arabia, and played like thousands of Arabias already, so I was definitely in the best shape there. But today I would definitely say I have a better mind. I have a better understanding of the game and better decision making as well than before. But I'm not sure if I could beat myself when I played KOTD 2 and 1, because I was playing pretty good there. I just made some wrong decisions, I feel. That's how I lost it, pretty much.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But that is a bad setup, right? If you didn't improve over like 2 years, or maybe it's only decision making. The other day you said it's coming down to only decision making nowadays.
I mean, for my case, it mostly comes down to decision making, because I think I was already in top shape like 1 year ago or something. KDD 2, wait, was it 1 year ago?
1 year ago you were such a great shape.
True. I was
ECL didn't even know the
slapping
maps.
ECL left and right, yeah.
That was really
2 years
really
ago
great.
that was that. Wait, 2 years ago, KDD 2? 2 years ago, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I always had a plan going into the game for my build orders and such, and the economy-wise and shit. And yeah, nowadays I'm more like improvising and more into strategies and stuff. So I'm getting older as well, you can see.
What's your strategy that you enjoy the most playing?
I definitely enjoyed most playing Drush FC back in the days. That was also my only strategy I beat Viper with. At what was it? Escape? The first Escape? No, wait. Second Escape tournament, I believe.
EGM2, where
Yeah,
you
that
beat
one.
him twice in best of ones, I believe. The one
Was it
Nikov
twice?
won in the end. Not? Oh, you beat him once.
Not sure. I beat him once in the best of one in the lower bracket. I'm not sure if I beat him
yeah.
before that.
Yeah, he had to be in the lower bracket as well, but
yeah,
I'm
no,
not
but
sure.
wasn't. I think he lost to the Gao
Yeah.
before that.
Ah, okay, that might have been something.
Yeah.
Wasn't EGMs the series where DauT took second place 3 times in a row?
Yeah, I wonder how that. I know his feeling as well. Second place, but he's pretty off there right now. No reaction. Okay.
No what? Okay, not the schedule apparently. DauT just said like, oh, I was distracted. I was reading something. Oh, okay.
Oh, plans.
So, do we get in ETA? Like, could you start now, DauT? Could you start? Okay, then we will start the map draft with the 2 of them. We will have 2 incredible casters today. Namely, which one? Exactly. Dave and
Nili. True.
True.
Yeah.
It's even
I was
on
just
the- it's even
I was
on
just
the
remembering
screen
who
at
was
the bottom.
casting the last games.
And
Like,
who did cast the last games?
Turkman and OrnLu. I was like, fucking 3 questions, man. So yeah,
What do you think is your greatest strength as a caster?
as a caster. Well, some might say my jokes, but I think personally, I think my knowledge of the game, honestly.
Okay. How expensive is a plumed archer?
For fuck's sake, I'm getting fooled here,
See
man.
ya with DauT
50
against Yo.
something. Minus the percent of the bonus. Pretty much. I mean, I got nerfed like a few times. How am I supposed to know that?
Hello, hippo lovers. Welcome to day number 2, set number 2. We're going to have DauT versus Yo, both players losing their first set in day number 1. Obviously, Yo's was pretty close, losing in game 5. And DauT, I think, put on a better showing against TaToH than a lot of people expected, so maybe he can pull something off against Yo. My name's Dave. Obviously, this is Nili.
Hello.
Hello.
Microphone test. People will spam muted. Yeah, they will. They won't. They will. They won't. They will. They won't.
might.
He just continues like going this way. You are muted, by the way. Not unmuted.
Not unmuted. Yeah.
I have no idea. And what's happening? Okay, he just leaves. That's normally a good sign, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? Not unmuted.
He doesn't stay in the room for more than like 10 seconds at a time. He's always in a different room. Or downstairs smoking when he needs to be up here.
He's how much
It's
he's
just casual OverlayGuy things. So how'd you sleep last night? Did you get sleep?
surprisingly well. Yeah, we slept from 4 to 10. So that's something I can absolutely work with. Yeah, pretty chilled actually. People are really tired this time. I remember
Yeah.
NAC2, obviously like TaToH and DauT being drunk doesn't help the overall situation. Then Friday evening, the shisha place was already full, so people going to bed early, and the apartment is full like at 11 a.m. yesterday or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I slept 10 to 12. 10 in the morning to 12.
What?
Yeah, I couldn't fall asleep. It
Whoa,
was some
whoa,
serious
what?
jet lag.
10 in the morning.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to this last set of the day. It's gonna be,
So we didn't need a hotel room. We just could have. Like,
yeah, exactly.
tagged.
Yeah, I could have just wandered around the streets of Hamburg.
Okay,
Yeah.
sick. 10 to 12.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
That sounds brutal.
Maybe tonight. Maybe not shisha until 3 a.m.
Yeah, true. You were there until the end. Yeah, actually, like I left for the shisha place at like 1:32 or something to get down to you, and OverlayGuy and Cook already said, "Yeah, we're going to bed. Good night." Or the hug, butt grabbing, and then I went down. And 1.5 hours, I get up there, and they're watching like funny YouTube videos, and I see like 4 extra bottles of beer, and then we watched another hour of fun YouTube videos, and well. People.
Is there a lot of hugging and butt grabbing?
I want to
not
talk
here?
about the home maps now.
Oh,
because
okay. Here we go. Let's get into the set. All right.
So, home map for Mr. Yo is the nodes. It's basically Arabia 2.0.
Yeah, some pawns. I mean, there's a lot of openings that you have to make sure you wall in C-Notes, and it's open map. I think Mr. Yo probably has the advantage on it, but that's why he picked it as a home map.
Yeah. Although people have been seeing him struggle a bit in the early to mid game and being really strong in the late game. So C-Notes may be a map that I would not have advised.
Yeah. I think Viper asked Yo what he was going to pick as a home map, and Yo said, I don't know. So,
Yeah, but Yo also had a quote. Once I asked him for a series, I think there was Clash of the Hippo 4 or something, and I asked him, why did you pick those maps? Why did you pick those civilizations? And he said, not civilizations win matches, players win matches.
Oh. It's like Confucius.
I think he lost 4-0.
Yeah. All right, so Regicide Fortress from DauT, that's fairly predictable. Serengeti and Arena, both bans, and then Islands from DauT. He picked that against TaToH, didn't he? Or was that TaToH's map?
More likely TaToH's map.
No, that was TaToH's map pick, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Valley from Mr. Yo.
Okay, well, Regicide Fortress is kind of the home map of both players, I would say. Like both, if I have to give you a top 5 in the world, both would probably be in there. DauT plays it since 2002, and Yo has been a beast on that as well. We remember the old ZD DauT Cup we had in China, where both just rampaged through it, and that's an interesting choice. And honestly, I feel that's a sign of not the greatest preparation if you pick a map that you know your opponent is super strong on as well.
Well, DauT said that he was going to pick Regicide Fortress every single time as his home map, so
Yeah.
he is a man of his word. I'm waiting for the first player
to lie.
Well, to pick Goss in anticipation of the mine thing. Like it's a big move.
Yeah.
It's a risky maneuver, but it pays off.
You're countering Marians, but if the other guy thinks, oh, there's also Golden Pit, but I want to play Marians, then I'll go something else. And with Goth, you get just, like, I think you have a slight advantage against Marians, but just get completely trashed by everything else.
Yeah.
If he goes Chinese, you are doing nothing.
Vikings.
Spanish is tricky. Vikings is
go
obviously...
Celts if he knows you're going Goths. Yeah, it's...
Malians,
rough.
there's so many options. Oh, man.
It's a ballsy play, though. I'd
Yeah.
respect it if someone went Goth.
Yeah.
That'd be
so
a, that'd be a
would be
huge read.
the
Yeah.
huge balls in an
Yeah.
important tournament game. For example, if the score is 1-1 and Hidden picks Sif and then you go Goth, that's a really strong play.
If Viper plays that, we might see it.
Okay. Valley for Mr. Yo. That's the aggressive map again by him. So does he maybe think he has the edge over DauT and Fuel Age and Castle Age?
Well, when he played, when Mr. Yo played TheMax, they played Valley yesterday, didn't they? And then they both went super safe. They didn't go to the middle.
Yeah.
They just played really, really safe in their own base, walled up, and then made their way to Imperial. And I think that's probably what he'll do again on Valley.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's worth it. It's just such a huge risk to go out for the deer. And half the time you spend your villager time just fighting the military from your opponent. They're not even collecting resources.
Well, unless you have the aggression, right? I think if you go for the center, it has to be something like a strong man-at-arm opening, like 4 man-at-arms. I can see like Japanese, Aztecs working there, Bulgarians. But if you go for something quote-unquote slower at the 11-minute mark, like Chinese, I think you can never go for the center.
Yeah. That's a good point. All right. Looks like they're starting to get into the game now.
Joining the lobby, and you already saw we have some new buttons here.
There's a
on
lot
our
of new
stream
buttons.
deck.
It's confusing.
Well,
I can't wait for Tristan to come in here. He's not good with technology. he's gonna walk in here and he's just gonna be so stressed out. I'm so excited to be the dude who knows how the stream works.
Okay, you want to take over?
Yeah, it's a role reversal, you know.
Okay. You carry DauT picking red there. Good boy. And he did invite Mr. Yo, who's, should be joining any second now as well. And so now we just go into the random. Exactly. I wanted to give the ball there to you. I think DauT was so successful with Bulgarians against TaToH. But is Yo the guy who would play the Mazosiv there?
Yeah, I could see Yo going maybe Aztecs on Arabia, maybe. He's gonna pick mines on a different map, right? Probably.
What do we have? Red Side Fortress looks like a
Yeah.
good Mayans map.
Yeah.
I think Valley is a solid. I like to start with Scouts on Valley though. So maybe that's not the greatest Meso.
Maybe
I think
Mongols.
another Bulgarian. The thing is, like, what does DauT think? How much Yo saw the games and is learning from it? Because there's like, yeah, you're showing the strategy, and yeah, you're showing the strategy, and your opponent is actually gaining information from that.
Yo's been in there watching most of the games, so we'll see. I don't know how many of the games DauT's been watching.
Oh, we can maybe go double POV before we actually.
Double POV Civ pick, maybe.
Oh, and OverlayGuy isn't changing that for us.
We're getting the.
Well, they're already in the game. Okay.
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 Can we get a really quick view?
Game.
Maybe?
Co-caster, that's you?
Yeah.
But we want. What do I want? I want before draft. That's the scene I want to go for. Hey yo!
Get a real close up.
Oh, did I change anything? I think I didn't change anything, right? That worked better than I expected. I pressed like Tristan style already 6 different buttons. And, well. Okay, so what can we see? We see. Oh.
That's very interesting.
Davey boy.
Does Yo have his headset in? Because we got to make sure they can't hear us say what DauT just
Those
picked.
are that's at least an interesting civilization from Mr. DauT. Something
And-
I would absolutely not have expected. And, whew, okay, maybe that's the counter pick. And Bulgarians would have been really strong against that as well. But we will tell you in some seconds. We are now jumping into the action. It will be Mr. DauT against Yo. Yo, the only guy who couldn't defend his seat yesterday on day 1.
Yeah, in an upset, I think, from Max and a bunch of really good games. Ooh, what do you think about the Civ matchup here?
We will start in the blue trunks here on kind of the western side. DauT is actually going for Persians. And on the other side, Mr. Yo is going for Mayans. Kind of the more expected, safer choice. But Persians, is that kind of a counter? I'm a bit surprised, but Persians completely got changed now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're overall a stronger Civ. You have the